Hello and welcome to week number 8 of the Supergirl Gamer Pro series. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a series dedicated to women in gaming, and two of those women would be, myself and my co-caster here. My name is Jolly. I am joined by Kari. Hey, I pointed the right direction this time. I'm joined by Kari. How are you today? It's only taken 8 weeks for me to figure that out as well. So, how are you tonight? How are you feeling about the second to last week of this series, not including the championship, of course?
Feeling a little melancholy, I'm not gonna lie. Like, keeping the energy up here is gonna be hard when I'm this sad that we're on the second to last week.
No.
But I am gonna try. I am gonna try to not be sad. I definitely am a little bit worried about whoever wins tonight. If it's limit testers, then we're gonna have to have some conversations. We might need to sabotage. You know what I mean? Like, we might have to do some very serious footwork. Maybe they don't show up next week. You know what I mean? Maybe we light something on fire and they can't get more points, so it can be closer. I'm just kidding. I'm really excited, honestly. Your nightmares, their ability to bounce back, and so I think we're probably going to get some sort of very spicy performance. No fighting dreamers this week, unfortunately, but we do have all the rest of the original crew showing up, and I think it's going to be a good one. I mean, we have one more week, so you never know what could happen. But yeah, right now,
nothing too insane, but definitely we can have an upset, and especially with, if I'm not mistaken, we currently have a tie for the first place right here, 450 points apiece for, no big surprise here, limit testers and your nightmares. And the top 4 teams are going to be the ones that go to the championships, and there's that prize pool of $12,500 just for League of Legends alone. I think over 31 or around 31,000 for the entire tournament itself. That's going to be those 3 standard days that we normally run: a Friday for CSGO, Saturday for League of Legends, and then Sunday for Hearthstone. But number 3 currently in this seeding is sitting at 400 points, Sailor Scouts, and then Gamer Snails also tied with them. So there's actually a pretty big gap as well, at least in the numbers that follow that. You're going from 2 teams tied at 450, that's Limit Testers and Your Nightmares, 2 teams tied at 400, that's Sailor Scouts and Gamer Snails. And then the next 2 teams that are in fact tied are RR and Fighting Dreamers at 225. So it's a pretty big difference here. So yeah, while things can happen, we would have to see a crazy upset, which is more than possible, but it would have to be these top teams doing poorly, or at least maybe, the second tier of the first place. I guess it's technically tied for second place. I would have to do poorly, and these teams that are sitting at like 225, the RR and the Fighting Dreamers who aren't here tonight, will have to really be on their A game. So I'm really hoping to see RR move forward in this. That's something we were kind of talking about a little bit before this all started. RR in particular has been here almost every single week, started out in the first week as Cisco and then quickly changed over to that RR name. And they've had it rough. They've absolutely had it rough as one of the teams here. What would you, I guess, touching on RR in particular, what do you think they need to focus on? What do you think are their strengths and weaknesses? And I definitely, if you can't think of one, I've got some help.
for game?
For RR. Yeah, just for RR. What are they like? If they because we don't have Fighting Dreamers here. RR and Fighting Dreamers are currently tied in second place, but in the third and fourth slots in the seeding. So RR is one of those teams that potentially just these last 2 weeks has the opportunity to maybe make it up there. What do they need to do for that to happen?
Oof. There's a lot going on with their performance. I mean, we have seen them. I believe they have won 1 or 2 games. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure they've won at least 1 in this.
I think, but I think maybe 1.
Yeah. Regardless,
maybe, the majority of games that we've had the opportunity to cast them in have been a real struggle for them.
Yeah, it's been a bit of an uphill climb. So listen, I think that in terms of RR, I think that they have a really strong beginning game, and I think that the laning phase they have down to pat. But I think you and I have both talked about how things go downhill very quickly once the lane phase ends. Wow. Once the lane
one of those nights.
Ends. Once lane phase ends, they have a bit of a struggle. Sorry, I'm gonna remove this so I don't yell into people's faces. So usually what happens is 1 tower goes down, they get 1 tower, and then things quickly spiral out of control for them. So I think that as far as RR goes, I think developing how they move into the later phases of the game is going to be integral if they want to continue to be competitive. And I mean, technically speaking, since they are no longer tied, or I mean, since the people that they're tied with aren't here this week, they
Oh,
probably have
yeah.
a better chance. Yeah,
Yeah.
making it into the top 4. But that would be my suggestion. What's yours? It sounds like you got something in mind.
All
Lay it
right,
on
all
me.
right. And this isn't like a call out or anything.
No,
But
no, this is advice.
Help Slifer play so well at the beginning, does really well,
So
is aggressive at the right
well.
times. But then when RR, and I did go back and check, and I didn't see a single win, at least in the books for RR. They do really, really well, really aggressive champions. The Echo, we saw the team come a couple times, definitely didn't go in favor, but there was at least a little bit of confidence behind it. But
Yeah.
as soon as RR starts to fall behind, Help Slifer just doesn't quite get the we're behind. We need to kind of be a little bit, maybe other players aren't quite as far ahead as that
Yeah.
jungle, or maybe they just are caught out one or two times. But it's the fight back or the recognition of when do we continue the engage here and when do we disengage from this fight. And RR that kind of ties to what you were saying with the later point in the game, when you start to get those big sways back and forth between the teams. So that is again, it's not a call out because I love Help Slifer as a player and like super risky, has made some really cool plays. I really like the Echo that has been picked up a lot recently, but just kind of is at that first couple of minutes of the game, that mentality throughout the entirety of it. Those sways don't really affect the aggression of that particular player. And I think if that mentality was just slightly tweaked, I think Help Slifer could carry the team. I mean, with the play style that they've got, absolutely.
No,
Just a little too aggressive.
Yeah, there's a certain skill that Help Slifer has displayed when they aren't playing Teemo jungle, that I think is a very like almost semi-pro skill cap.
Yeah.
Just an incredible amount of skill on the skill side of playing that, and that's one of the hardest things to master. First and foremost, is learning a champion that well that you're so good. But then transitioning into phases of the game and learning when to pull back, learning when not to engage, making sure that your team is there with you. I think Help Slifer could be I think you're right. I think that player could be an incredible carry, just given a little more time and maturity.
Yeah, just some of those mentalities, and that's excuse me, that's one of the hardest parts of the game, I think. We'll touch on more things that are coming up, what games we're going to be watching. Another 4 games for us tonight, the quarter, the 2 semis, and the finals. We're going to take a really quick commercial break, though, before we hop into Champ Select for game number 1 here of Week 8 in the Super Go Gamer Pro Series. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle takes. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be Marines.
You can trade all the games, accessories, consoles, and tech you don't use anymore to get cash or store credit at GameStop. Check out the Trade Center on the GameStop app, visit GameStop.com/trade, or talk to a guest advisor at your local GameStop store to see how much your trades are worth.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this. Brake.
Rear automatic braking.
So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you? You're right.
Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra, with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
For a long time, we had to prove ourselves. But we always knew what we were capable of. We knew when the time came, we would be ready for anything. Our numbers keep rising, and so do we.
The best.
Oh, thank you guys for hanging in there. We are going to be hopping into Champ Select for the first game. But before that, we got a little bit of info on this first team, right?
So I actually wanted to bring up a thing. We had an issue with Ryoklu, who's on limit testers, accidentally being labeled as Elise. Not the biggest deal, but I certainly want players to get their due. So just to clarify, limit testers did not have Elise on their team last week. It was Ryoklu. They're an incredible player, an incredible ADC, and they deserve their due. So I just want to clarify. Just to be, just apologize on our behalf. That was not a great mix-up, and the players who do put forth all this effort and time and love deserve to have their due. So, with that said, let's go to the bracket.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the bracket that we have today. And that is not two teams named bye. That is, in fact, a bye. We only had 6 teams, unfortunately, this week. Everyone's getting scared. It's down to the nitty-gritty, and they're like, oh, I don't want to go up against these number 1 teams. They're seeded so high. But taking a quick look at this, we have Limit Testers getting the bye and Your Nightmares on the other side getting the bye there. So we got Gamer Snails and Ara and Sailor Scouts and Air Force Gaming. These are going to be the 2 quarterfinals games. One of these we will witness here today, and then obviously the final 2 there in the semis. And the last game being the most exciting of the night generally. A lot of Limit Testers, a lot of Your Nightmares there, and those 2 teams already being pushed forward through the bracket thanks to the bye is a really interesting. It's like not a change of pace, but it's a little unfortunate that these teams don't get to duke it out a little bit earlier on. They get to preserve their energy until like they get into the semis. So we do have, I think, Champ Select relatively ready to go. I probably should double check before I do things, but
I think we do.
It's worked so far.
I think it's really great too that once these tournaments get a little bit later on, it's not fair to pit them, against each other and knock each other out of the tournament. So we do want to, give them the chance, especially once they've proven themselves, to continue forward, and maybe go head to head against each other. I'd love to see an upset. I don't necessarily expect one, nor do I want to set people's expectations to think that there won't be a Your Nightmares Limit Testers game, but you never know. I mean, like we said before, all of these teams have been incredibly good at pivoting towards adjusting to each other's playstyles and learning, and we've seen some incredible, Sailor Scouts in particular has done an incredible leaps and bounds of improvement, as well as Gamer Snails.
And Gamer Snails, yeah, absolutely. Yep. And it looks like we actually have a couple new names as well on board for Gamer Snail. Gamer Snails looks the same as last week with the addition of Bert Toasties there in the support role. Let's go over these teams though. Gamer Snails we got on the blue side today. Noisy in the top lane, Ghosty in the jungle, Cowrie in the mid lane. Is that Dulce in the ADC role, and Theola as the support. A couple newcomers there at the bottom.
Awesome. Super excited. And then on the Ara side, we have Cisco 2145, Pulp Slifer, Nikki 422 in the mid lane, Humanoid Pumpkin, and Burnt Toasties, who is the same sub, or was the sub the week before last, but we had Joystick Rampage.
We went back
support role. Yeah, so we've kind of swapped between Burnt Toasties and Joystick Rampage, as far as I can remember.
Still a second appearance for Burnt Toasties, though, right? In this tournament? Yep. All right. Did a really good job 2 weeks ago. So hopefully they bring a little bit of spice to the table for Ara. Gamer Snails have been a bit more successful, as we were talking about. Ara's really struggling. A lot of that has to do with, I brought up the oppressive nature of top lane. Whenever Ara has gone up against, Cisco is the captain of this team and just has had some of the roughest lane matchups and just aggressive opposing junglers that decide to camp the top side and, set him at 0-4-0 kind of really early on by no fault of his own there. So looks like we got some pretty standard bans, at least in terms of the, jungle in the bottom lane. So the York is an interesting one. I don't think we've seen that on Noisy.
No, I don't believe that we have seen that on Noisy. I also, I don't know. Seeing the Ash ban kind of breaks my heart into a million pieces, but it's fine. We've seen that quite a bit. It does look like instead of Ryoklu, we do have Dulcie standing in for. Oh wait, no. That's right. Sorry, this is a different team.
We do have,
God damn
this
it.
is a new. This is a new. I don't know if it's Dolce. Dolce.
for
Dulcie.
Lustfully. That's
Dulcie.
right.
Yeah. So before we had Lustfully there, and Viola as well. Lustfully and oh wait, hold up. It was Lustfully and oh my gosh, it's literally Hanabi. That Nami.
Yeah.
That fantastic Nami. So we'll see exactly what these guys pull together. It looks like this might be a Lux Misfortune bottom lane, and Help Slifer is going to go with the Graves, which has been a favorite of Ghosty recently. So a little bit of a steal and maybe a bit of a show-off as well, and some potential push for Help Slifer in early invades.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Help Slifer on a champion as good as Graves too. We literally just we went on a long tirade about how Help Slifer really does have the ability to carry Ara. We've seen the skill. And all we've seen is just a bit of poorer judgment. I think it's tilting, to be honest, because we have seen some plays that have just like made us go, oh, what was that? That's something that I would do in a fit of desperation and not quite myself.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where like Help Slifer really, honestly, the mental, especially if they're moving, like let's say Ara does move on to the finals here in October, I think it would do really, really well for Help Slifer to master themselves and master their brain before any of those games go on. But I really think that, especially picking Graves seems really ambitious, and it kind of seems like a promise to say, hey, I am a skilled player, and I am going to use this champ to wreak havoc. So, I mean, maybe we'll see that. Gamer Snails, I imagine, with RR's track record, is probably not estimating them properly, especially if they've been scrimming this week. So, I mean, RR can take advantage of those expectations as well. And an MF bot, though, on Gamer Snails, especially if Lux is the support, that's gonna be not great. Lux or Galio as support, right? That's with MF
Either
in bot lane.
way,
That's not
yeah.
fun.
Either way,
That's not fun for
I mean,
anybody.
it's however, at least we don't have who is it? Dopamini. At least it's not Dopamini on the Gamer Cells right now, because then we would know where the Lux was going, and we would be very ashamed in the opposing team. I do think just based on this right now, I can only assume the Galio is going in the mid lane just based on the aggression of the rest of the team. And I like both of these compositions. I'm much more happy with Ara's comp than sometimes we've seen. Like you said, the Graves is a really good pickup. Very, very strong right now, and definitely along the aggressive style that Help Slifer has played here in the past. And the Pantheon as the final pick up there. So Darius and Pantheon in the top lane going up against each other. Ghosty on the Warwick as well is something I don't know if we have actually seen that, because it's been banned out so many times, I believe, against Ghosty. So maybe this is something that has just kind of slipped through the cracks, and we might see Gamer Snails hit their stride in this jungle.
Yeah, it does look like they are banning to Noisy in those with those bans on Ara, and I can see that because Noisy is terrifying, and so I think that that's probably, like, on their part, probably pretty wise to ban. You know, you've got that Yorick, you've got that Mordekaiser, you've got that Garen, but then of course you pick up Darius, and that's sort of like a want situation. Neither of these comps are built for late game either, so these teams are both kind of looking to end this game. This is the same game that we have seen as as the tournament has progressed. All of our teams have trended towards less late game investments and less map control and just pure aggression, ending these games as quickly as possible. It doesn't seem like any of these teams necessarily want to make it to late game anymore. They just kind of want to end it. And I think that that's a perfectly fine strategy, especially if you know who you're playing against. I do wonder if we end up seeing limit testers in your nightmares at the end, what kind of game we'll be seeing there, and seeing if they'll pivot to that more controlled style just because there's so much on the line. But I think that Ara may have the superior early game comp, and that's kind of what we've seen them trend before. But as far as late game goes, Gamer Snails has it. They have it clutch. There's really no denying that Ara's team doesn't fall off sharply. But
I don't know, because Warwick definitely falls off
a little bit.
Yeah, and you've got the fall off as well. I mean, at least somewhat. Like, they're not hard scalers, but there is a lot more potential scaling as well, at least towards not like late game, but like later mid game. Like, I feel like as an Orianna kind of spike, I feel like that's a Pantheon spike. I guess Pantheon a little bit earlier on, but yeah, both of them are they're absolutely early game teams, like 100%,
Yeah.
absolutely early game teams. But I feel like they have enough slightly, like, not skewed scaling champions, just champions that spike around the mid game instead of the early game, or provide a lot more in the mid game. It could go. I like both the compositions really, like, a lot. I like both these compositions a lot, actually. I'm scared. Again, most scared though because Ghosty, if I'm not mistaken, I might be thinking of a different jungler, but I'm pretty sure Ghosty has had Warwick banned out from like the very beginning of the series, just based on some of the research that people did of some of the players beforehand. I recall seeing so many Warwick bans, and Ghosty finally getting this Warwick after being banned out so many times might be devastating for Aura.
Yeah, I think that you and I have kind of a sneaking suspicion because we have seen this Warwick ban against Noisy enough that this might be an issue. This might actually turn into like a snowballing issue, especially because Help Slifer before has been known to tilt pretty hard. And so if if Ghosty gets the edge, oh man, I'm having a rough time. Forgive us, first game, warm-up game, right?
Yeah, for real.
But I think Ghosty, yeah. Oh, we do have actually some action happening in top lane here though with Cisco getting kind of a good trade between Noisy and Cisco. Cisco definitely did not win the trade there, but I don't think it was a bad one either. There was some retaliation on Cisco's side there against Noisy. I am really excited to kind of just see these two buff boys kind of bounce at each other in the top lane, just kind of, bounce off of each other's pecs or whatever happens when you get two buff boys in the top lane.
Yeah, and this Pantheon with, you've got multiple global ultimates for either side, or at least a global ultimate for either side. You've got the Galio's heroic entrance, and then you've got Cisco's ultimate as well on the Pantheon there. So a lot of potential for early movement, early rotations, which we are pretty used to seeing from like your Nightmares, Limit Testers. Not as much from these teams that we haven't seen in the finals as often as those two examples that I just gave there. But these aggressive teams certainly make me think that is the strategy they're going to go with. Continue probably camping top here and actually potentially seeing some Warwick in the mid lane. But a really nice ward there from Nikki is going to save a life of Flash away from Cisco, as it looks like Noisy's taking quite a bit of damage there. The flash over from Noisy, though, in the first blood going over Ghosty on their way up the lane. Not needed. Noisy. I got this one. Don't worry about it.
I've noticed kind of like sort of like the top lane inspiration is just try and clean up before your jungler even gets there, just to show off a little, like, I don't need you, I'm a strong, independent Darius who can handle this situation. But good on Ghosty for going up just to making sure that the kill gets closed there. A little bit of a struggle lane for Kaori. They are historically just a very consistent player. One of the things that I love about Kaori as a player is that they keep people in lane. So players like, for example, Solaris Revenge, who is one of our, one of the better team captains that we've seen, one of the better mid laners that we've seen, well, probably the best mid laner in this game, and Kaori does manage to keep them in lane. We do see a stun get land there on the Lux with Thiela? Thiela, that seems about right.
That's close enough. It's your fault for having a complicated name.
That's the rule here.
That's my rule always. As a caster, I have seen enough crazy names that I'm like, you know what? After 5 tries, if I don't actually hit it at some point in there, where you can be like, oh yeah, you almost had it. That's your fault.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. But I think that Cisco has had a hard string of games. Giving off that first blood is just a continuation of what has been like a pretty serious struggle bus. We're used to seeing the captains of teams, usually sometimes being generally being the most skilled players on the team. But Cisco definitely allows the rest of their team to shine. They've surrounded themselves with incredible players. And while they may not be the best on the team, I'm sure that they're probably doing shot calling as well. We do see a little bit of a slap fight happening here in top lane. Noisy with the pull in, and Cisco retaliating with a shield.
Nice minion push,
with
there it is!
Oh
my god! Level up to give the extra little bit of health and not placed it enough for Cisco to be able to navigate around those minions to get a spear up. I thought the minions might have had it, and if Cisco had gotten one more auto attack off on Noisy, that definitely would have been a kill, as no summoner spells are available up in that top side. But no kills going over, just Cisco going down earlier in the game. Ghosty wants to make something of it potentially. We'll see if this recall goes through before Ghosty's able to arrive. Looks like we'll be safe.
Yeah, looks like for today, Cisco made a really good judgment call heading back there, allowing Noisy a little bit of free farm, unfortunately. But Cisco is in the lane, or sorry, Ghosty is in the lane to soak up a little bit of that XP. So it's not a full win, but rough on Cisco there on the start. And I would be tilted to hell if I had not managed to close the deal on that Noisy. Help Slifer is ambitiously going for this dragon, and that's something that you can do on Graves. A great use of a very high power champion with good crit and sustain. Really awesome play on Help Slifer's part. Also seeing that Ghosty is there in the top lane and being able to take advantage of that. So Help Slifer definitely stepping up like we wanted them to. Solid display of objective prioritization. Again, like I said, we're not going to know if this is a new, newly invented Ara that's been doing a lot of scrims and a lot of practicing and a lot of studying until later in the game. But hey, surprise me. I'm really excited to see how the rest of this game goes, because First Nail so far, despite quite a few roster changes, still always has a very consistent performance. And I'm happy to see Kaori back there on that chicken soup, because we love that skin.
We do, and Cisco is going to get jumped on again. Noisy pushing pretty hard past the minions who instantly turn, but a lot of damage being dealt there to Cisco.
Oof.
Noisy with that Q, able to accumulate quite a bit of life in return as well. Kaori there just trying to survive through the Ignite.
Woo!
And Nikki is going to take it. That is another gray screen there for Gamer Snails.
I'm a big fan of Orianna, just as a champion who, even if they don't do super well in lane, the utility that they provide is indispensable later on for team fights and can completely turn the tide. Even if that champion is like 0, 10, and 0, they can still make a difference in those team fights with those incredible utility that Orianna has. And that's a champion that's just a good investment to have, but I mean, a fed Orianna is even scarier. There is a bit of a slap fight once again happening here in top lane with Cisco. Once again, 0-3 and 0, falling to Noisy, who now has a 350 gold bounty in the top lane. Like I said, Cisco, not the strongest player on Ara, the team captain, but honestly, usually pretty reliable, or at least tries to keep it together. Doesn't necessarily feed, still manages to get some kills later in lane, but it does seem like they are relying a little too heavily on that early Pantheon scaling and not necessarily looking at the fact that Noisy has gone back, does have a mallet, does have chainmail, and is not necessarily killable at this point in time, especially with the 2-level difference. So even with an overpowered early game champion, with 2 levels and lots of gold between them, I mean, look at the farm there. Noisy not only has 3 kills, but also has double the gold. Help Slifer focusing on these objectives, which I think is a very Help Slifer thing to do, but it is refreshing to see that they are not trying to, make a difference in lane here, especially top. But you do have Cisco coming down to help with Shelly, and some blows being traded in bot lane, nothing too serious. Dolce taking out that vision ward. Ghosty is hovering over Shelly here, and Noisy is coming down. Yeah, this would be a good time to abandon this objective, or at least try to protect it. But they are going to go in and see what they can do here.
Hold up. Okay, no, RR was able to take that one, I believe. The shockwave coming out, the flash in from Ghosty, the taunt to follow it up onto Nikki, and Nikki's gonna go down without picking up the kill from Ghosty. A few flashes expended. Definitely worth it for the Gamer Snails. They're now sitting at 5-1.
You know what, I definitely don't want a 1v1 Warwick. It's kind of a trap. You know, the same trap that Set has. You think you've got them in the bag and then they pop something off. In Warwick's case, that lifesteal, it's a huge pain in the butt. You definitely don't want to have to deal with that. Didn't stand a chance, honestly.
That flash is actually the thing that kept him alive too, though, because it was actually the flash and the breakaway from I forget exactly which ability we saw there. I think it might have just been it was the W. So the burst, the AOE, the small AOE burst on the ball there from Nick is what he managed to flash away from, which absolutely saved his life because he was at almost nothing. And that flash not only allowed the dismissal of the damage from the W, but also allowed further engage, as obviously an Orianna has more range than a Warwick there, and so allowed for the re-engage. Just a really, really good play overall, in particular from Ghosty on that Warwick. Now Kaori is getting run down here from Nikki. The flash away, but the Ignite was set before Kaori managed to walk. And there it is, Nikki picking up one in response to being taken down just a little bit earlier towards that mid side.
We do have Shelly coming out with Help Slifer here. Just missed Ghosty. 2 ships passing in the night there. Really close to actually having a little skirmish there in bot, but alas, not to be. Cisco, Nikki, and Help Slifer are all looking to get this mid champ. Really, honestly, so... Ooh. Cisco did manage to slay Ghosty there, which is not ideal for Gamer Sales. This situation is not ideal either, with Nikki having the most kills. Taking this turret down is definitely priority so that Nikki can roam, especially because now, again, they have the most kills on Ara, and freeing up that lane for some... Yeah, this is super
Noisy
bad,
is going to
actually.
burn the Ghost. Nikki throws out the ball, pops the AoE. A lot of damage, but the pull in from Noisy, that's going to at least allow Cisco to jump in. So much damage, the flash in, and the ultimate there from Noisy. No way, Nikki does not survive. The hemorrhaging is going to be enough for Noisy to pick up that kill. Now Cowrie is in a 1v2. Ghosty manages to jump in, but just a little too late to help Cowrie survive in that fight. Now Humanoid Pumpkin's going to make this one a 3v1, and the slow trickle in of Gamer Snails there certainly gave Ara the advantage in the fight.
Oh my god, they just caught up. They caught up in gold, they caught up in kills. Now Gamer Snails and Ara are now more evenly matched, with Ara also getting their 3rd objective, their 2nd dragon, Shelly and 2 dragons. This is getting really nasty now for Gamer Snails, who may have more carelessly entered this without realizing that Ara, they're scrappy and they want to win really bad. And so you're seeing a lot of very good team communication. Seeing Cisco rotate down with Noisy as well was absolutely key. And like I've said before, Cisco may not be the most skilled player on the team, but is absolutely there when they are needed. Not in the interest of farming either. Now has a 400 gold bounty on their head for taking up 3 kills there in that last skirmish. 3 kills? Am I thinking about that right there? I think I am.
I think there was a triple kill, yeah, and that actually, I mean, look at the gold as well, 19.7 and 19.5, so 200 gold differential right now 100 as we speak of it. So Ara finding the small amount of footing, or that corner to hold on to and pull themselves up with has been broken into, and Cisco now feeling much better going into this lane. Noisy still has a bit of an upper hand here, the 2-level increase, as well as the ultimate on lockdown, a little bit better for that full-on engage. But that global as well from the Pantheon is going to come in huge as we get into it, the Grand Starfall. Now it looks like Cowrie is going to be engaged on. Help Slifer, I do love how well Help Slifer is doing here, not over-engaging, not overstaying on some of these fights here. Now Noisy does have a bit of a minion push, so he's going to try to pressure here. We do have about 30 seconds left. Oh my gosh, the ultimate going down onto Nikki. Nikki trying to use the shockwave in response, is not going to get it. Help Slifer on the backside tries to deal a bit of damage to these guys. The taunt coming through from Cowrie onto Help Slifer, who dashes away. Ghosty taking 1 tower shot in the process, but not enough damage to get anyone too uncomfortably low. In the meantime, Noisy is going to catch Cisco out in the open. The hero's entrance coming from Cowrie. Help Slifer on the backside there is going to try to engage on this fight, but just a little too low to comfortably do so as Noisy's on the backside. Flash in, and the ultimate gets a dunk kill for Noisy here. A nice avoidance from the members of Ara there to not get hit by that cube. Lifesteal on Noisy is now getting very, very dangerous, and the dunk is still available. A second one and a third one. 3 more pickups there for Noisy, sitting at 8-1-1. And that nice little lip that Pantheon, as Cisco was able to grab onto, has slowly eroded away. 105 and 57 are the creep scores here, and double the kills sitting on this Darius. That is a very scary boy.
Cisco did not even get to enjoy their brief 100 gold lead, as it was there right before Ara began to domino into that mid lane. It's just unfortunate how that happens. You think you're helping your teammate. There is something called the sunk cost fallacy, where you believe you have invested too much in a team fight, or that you've lost too much and that you need to keep with it. But unfortunately, you end up losing double your investment regardless. It's good to know when to pull away and not domino in like that 1 by 1. And Gamer Snails did it earlier in mid lane, just minutes earlier even. Less than 2 minutes earlier, they had done the same domino effect where they had believe they had invested too much in that to back out. And that's not the case. If Ara's bot lane had just decided, hey, Noisy's insane, we should probably not do this, I think they would have been more successful. Help Slifer really trying to focus on those objectives, but with Kaori and Noisy's becoming a hyper carry now, just an absolute force. But Help Slifer is not willing to give up this objective, and Nikki not necessarily positioned for success, but they are attempting to secure that. Whoa!
Odonte getting Help Slifer, and so much damage there going on to Cisco, only in the fight for half a moment. Now all 5 members are running after Nikki, who gets taken down in just a moment. In that bottom lane, like you were talking about, RR disconnecting from this fight, is definitely not going to try to engage on this one. It looks like Burnt Toasty's going to try to go up and help prevent this mid tower from being taken. It is definitely possible here, but Noisy has found the split push, and one of these towers is bound to go down.
It is getting pretty dark for Ara. Nothing unrecoverable. They did manage to get the Rift Herald there, and so Nikki does have that little consolation prize. I love little petty things like that. Like, yeah, okay, maybe you do have 7 kills in the last 3 minutes, but listen, we're taking this Rift Herald and we're going to try to make it work. I don't think that it was the wrong move necessarily to try to defend that. Help Slifer going in. I think that was also the right move as well. But beyond that, any sort of team fighting that happened there, once Noisy's on the map, they really should rotate him away. They should be rotating anywhere that Noisy is not, regardless of whether or not there's an objective to fight over, because that champion is starting to get really scary. Almost did a full-on 1v4 with a little bit of a domino stack.
And this is where we need to watch out, because Noisy is actually making their way down. The spark coming, the final spark coming out, and the flash there from Thayela. A lot of damage coming out from RR, and oh my gosh, Nikki is gonna find the W in the pickup on that ace in the hole. Gonna hit Nulj, who flashes away from this one, and Noisy and Ghosty find the back line of Ara. An ultimate going down onto Humanoid Pumpkin, and then it looks like Cisco was able to find the 1 kill there, and still is continuing on this fight. Burnt Toasties is going to throw in a bit of assistance, though, with the, it's not Tormented Soil anymore, it's something else, but it's still Tormented. And now Ara have found themselves on the victorious side of that fight. What a turn.
Yeah, it's really good. This is a good game to watch. This is exciting. There's all sorts of, like, turns and twists and kind of a little bit of drama. It's becoming the fight of the top laners. Cisco's really doing their best to try to keep up. I know, that was nasty. That was terrifying. You hate to see it, but they do have 3 dragons. They have 2 Rift Heralds. They've managed to get every objective other than the 2 towers that Gamer Snails has. I think Ara in terms of objectives have been cleaning up really well, and Help Slifer is showing some immense self-control as a jungler. And really trying to focus on those objectives and not enter too many team fights, which I completely agree with. I think that's the way to go. And Cisco holding on by a thread, just really trying to keep Noisy on the up and up there. But the farm disparity is still a lot. The death disparity, 9-2, 3 versus 5-6-1, still not necessarily enough for them to duke it out. Noisy is also 3 levels ahead of Cisco, so I don't think we're going to see a lot of those 1v1s. Hopefully Cisco does not jump into it on this top lane and just concedes. I mean, yes, you did get the gold. Yes, you have a full-on Triforce build now.
But with the pings coming out on the rest of your team, they might have this one.
I mean, I'm looking at it, it's actually looking really terrifying for Noisy,
Yes,
and while Noisy is distracting the rest of the team here, their team is actually pushing mid just to make up the disparity on that mid turret there, but does manage to steal the deal on Cisco 2145 before falling to Help Slifer. Solid. Oh, it actually looks like Humanoid Pumpkin ended up picking up that kill despite Help Slifer putting on the crits there. Nikki is in bot lane, putting on some extra pressure as well. A lovely rotation from their part, but they do need to stop the hemorrhaging in mid lane since that is the quickest avenue to the other team's base. Ghosty is definitely trying to keep this tower from going down as well. And listen, Nikki doesn't have to close the deal. They just have to live, so
no,
I don't think that's going to be happening.
The tower hit there, I feel like, all right, that's one where I would, as you're talking about, you know, kind of knowing when to concede and say, okay, I'm going to go down in this anyway. Maybe going in and poking 1 or 2 more autos at that tower to make sure that it actually went down would have been the way to go, because there was a tower shot actually taken by some mispositioning there from Nikki, and then the immediate flash out in an attempt to leave, but can't escape from Ghosty. You can't run from the big bad wolf, especially not when they're sitting as pretty as they are currently on the Gamer Snails. But The nice thing, and still one of these consolidating factors for RR, is that the gold differential is not massive considering how far we are in. We have seen way crazier gold differentials, so only about 3.5K, a little bit more than that, in favor of Gamer Snails, considering we're almost at double the amount of kills for Gamer Snails, more than double the amount of towers, and a lot of these objectives. RR has been doing a really good job of trying to pick up whatever they can. Looks like Gamer Snails, it seems like they're just kind of poking things out to try to get RR to engage on a fight or find an opportunity to go in, and Noisy has done so as the Ghost is procced there. The root and taunt now onto Cisco means there's no escape. A nice flash away from Humanoid Pumpkin, the hero's entrance, not hitting anyone. Noisy still finding the death onto Humanoid Pumpkin on the backside. In the meantime, Ghosty is going to flash into the second tower here. Take a few tower shots in the process, but no problem. Bird Toasties is the only member now left alive on Aurora, and Aurora picked up no kills in response to that initiation from the Gamer Snails.
Big bummer on the positioning there. That's kind of what leads to that sort of weird skirmish that happens under the tower. Noisy, though, extremely OP right now. And I think a lot of people underestimate how wide that pull is on Darius. It's not that big, but, you know, if you make a miscalculation like Cisco did there, just a couple steps too far ahead, is allowing Gamer Snails here to actually close this Baron and close the, basically, I would say, the objective gap. They may not have any dragons, but they will be able to get the next one with a Baron buff and some good pushes. I mean, the lanes are already pushed in for Ara, and this is just going to give Gamer Snails the chance to reset and continue to secure this lead here, in addition to being able to secure the next dragon that comes up. So
that was a great response. Humanoid Pumpkin managed to pick up that blue buff and avoid the pull there from Noise. So that pickup is going to go over to Cisco. Really good.
I like that.
Nice. That was great work. A nice little pinch there, recognizing, all right, Noisy is very, very low, very high priority. And after taking that blue buff, managing to just snag it with an auto attack, you got to go in for the engage. You know, your confidence has been boosted enough.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You've got to at least try it, right? And you going down, having that death timer, it's not going to put your game in any serious jeopardy either. But I do want to say that Help Slifer is the reason that Ara is keeping up in terms of gold here, and I'm really proud, honestly. Regardless of how this game in particular turns out, it does look like our friend Help Slifer has been putting in the hard work on what to focus and at what stage of the game to engage and which ones not to. So a little bit further in there than I would suggest being in the Dragon Pit, especially with Noisy on their way back here. It looks like Ara might be making a little bit of a mistake, I would say, here with this dragon. Got Ghosty and Noisy closing in, coming out from the Dragon Pit. Noisy looking for a pull there and actually finds it and helps Slifer and begins to shoot that down. Humanoid Pumpkin doing the best that they can, but unfortunately gets pulled in and taken out. That was a slaughter, a super unfortunate slaughter. And to add insult to injury, you do have the MF ult there from Dolce coming in as well. Maybe not necessary, but you do want to clean up because they could potentially end the game right now with that Baron buff. And it's really any question of whether or not that's what they deign to do. It looks like they're trying to put as much hurt on their ability to recover as humanly possible. So even if the game doesn't end now, Ara has a massive uphill battle. They may lose. They're definitely going to lose 2, maybe 3, potentially 4 turrets, maybe an inhibitor, but definitely 2. Looks like they're closing in on the 3rd here, but as their team starts to come up, they may not get it. They are going to secure this last turret here before they can do anything in terms of retaliation. Oh, okay, Ori goes in there and starts a little bit of a fight with Noisy coming over the wall there. Clear up Burnt Toasties. Ghost Team manages to take out Help Slifer in the jungle battle of the century. And unfortunately, Humanoid Pumpkin also manages to take out Noisy, which is the right thing to focus. I've noticed this entire time Humanoid Pumpkin doing the best that they can to do some really serious target prio. This is what you call staying a little too long, getting a little too greedy, and allowing Humanoid Pumpkin to gather some very good kills and some serious gold here. It does look like Humanoid Pumpkin is actually starting to pop off, as they say. It's looking pretty nasty, actually, now. Ara is still kind of keeping up as much as they can, considering how much pain they've just been put through. They lost 3 towers and an inhibitor, and I don't think that was necessarily outside of the design. I mean, these death timers, like I said, Gamer Snails is completely pushed in on Ara. What recourse do they even have? That's at that point, dying at the base like that is just a fast B for Gamer Snails.
Right, well, that was the first death, actually, for Dolce on that misfortune as well. So keep that in mind. You know, it's not like it's an ARAM, so first death means you can buy all the items, but that does likely mean that these items are going to be used very wisely here. Keep in mind also the deficit in CS for Dolce compared to Humanoid Pumpkin. Humanoid Pumpkin does have the advantage on that one. And just this game in general, the fact that we're sitting at 25 and somebody has, 103 CS is mind-blowing to me, because that just means that this whole game has just been initiation. And, and the only creep that people are picking up is when they're hella pushing lanes. And then, there is engage on to Noisy, who finds himself a little too far out in the jungle once more. Humanoid Pumpkin got to pick up another one, and Ara finding some really great picks here.
You know what I've noticed, Kay? Let's take a look here, though, at Noisy's 15. Very impressive assists. That's half of the battles here. Kaori has made sure that they are engaging, and now, as a result, have a 400 gold bounty on their head. That's the kind of Kaori that we were looking for. Had a super rough start, though, getting camped in that mid lane, but is really, really showing up for their team. Really great on that Galio. Hate to lane against him, but you love to see Kaori. They're an incredible player, and they do a great job. I'm just happy to see that somebody has 15 assists in this game, because there's been so many engages. A real credit to Kaori's ability to be in the right place at the right time. They are pushing bot lane here with Cisco holding that tower and Help Slifer coming in from the side. Just trying to make a little bit of a difference here, get a pick. Nikki coming in as well. But Viola does manage to get that final spark off, not hitting any targets as far as I can see.
Yeah, no targets hit there, and then the hero's entrance also burned there by Kaori. Seemed like there was an engage, but a flash over the wall meant that Ara disengaged under tower. A lot of poke now as well, coming from this Lux in the bottom side. Yes, might be a support, but can still do a consistent amount of damage. Some nice short cooldowns this late in the game. And finally, Ara is picking out the champions that they want, getting locked down, getting some really good damage to follow it up, and then knowing when to disengage. This is kind of what has been lacking from this team in the past. And really good back and forth between these guys while RR has the tower advantage is the way that they're going to find yet another one.
Yeah, Noisy is drawing them out into their base where they don't necessarily have any recourse. Wouldn't fall for that trap. I wouldn't let Noisy take me away from my tower, only to lose it, especially on that bot lane. Opening that base up is not in their best interest. Humanoid Pumpkin really, really wants it, though. Really wants to make those warning shots right at Noisy and Kaori. It's a really interesting ebb and flow there. I think that you're right. RR has shown a lot of really good judgment in this game that we haven't seen before, and I think that merits a bit of praise. That under tower, I expected potentially like Cisco to get pulled in, and that nothing like that happened there, so I'm feeling pretty good, at least. Like I said, no matter how that turns out, RR's performance is definitely coming into their own and a little more mature than we're used to. Help Slifer manages to peekaboo Noisy there, and then just turns around and runs tail while Gamer Snails secures their second Infernal Drake. Not great for Ara, but I mean, they are ahead in Dragon, so I mean, there is one small comfort, but two Infernal Drakes, not fun.
The exact thing, though, that we were talking about. So you just said Help Slifer, finding out Noisy, not knowing where the rest of the team was, not making that assumption that the rest of Gamer Snails were down at the Dragon, and disengaged from the fight. In the past, that has been an issue, and I only know because towards the beginning I was like, oh no, don't make that move. Yeah. It was just a consistency of saying, okay, I have the advantage, and they just didn't have the vision to follow it up. So the rest of the team would collapse. While it started out as a beneficial situation for Help Slifer, it would usually end up badly with the entire team, and Ara has figured out a way to for everybody to focus on not doing that specifically, and I love it. Bertosi's again coming around to this side, throwing down a ward in an attempt to throw a binding over to just snake it away if you can. The soil is the best way to do it as well. Throw that down initially in case the binding comes a little bit late. And Nikki is going to follow it up here. They are going to get the Baron on the side of Gamer Snails, but the ultimate from Cisco is going to come in. That is 4v1. A nice W is going to allow the rest of RR to engage here. Bertosi's being the focus from Ghosty, who gets exhausted, but now the rest of the team can turn onto the backside as a Humanoid Pumpkin gets taken down from Noisy in the base. It looks like Gamer Snails did a great job of distracting almost all of our aside from Humanoid Pumpkin, who stayed there to try to defend that. And now everyone is going to be needing to recall or teleport their way across.
Gosh, we were so focused on bears that I didn't personally notice that Noisy was in the base. A really solid pressure strategy. We saw that death come from Humanoid Pumpkin, and we were both like, excuse me?
Oh my God. It took me I literally said, oh no, this is the 4v1. Why is it only 4? Now the teleports are coming through from Gamer Snails as Kaori makes their way down. Noisy is going to be jumped on by many members of RR. Here comes the hero's entrance there from Kaori, and Noisy is going to manage to take someone down with that big ol' axe.
That big ol' axe, man. Noisy is a force to be reckoned with in this game. They should really genuinely be proud of their performance here too. Not only did they not feel like it was a big deal to be at that Baron, but they also trusted their team to take care of business. Humanoid Pumpkin, despite their best efforts, did fall here, and it's looking pretty dark here for Ara, getting taken down by Fiola as well as Nikki 422, who has put on such a good game. Nikki really did hold their own here, and you do have the unfortunate members, the leftovers, the surviving members of RR here trying their best to defend their Nexus, but unfortunately it is not meant to be. The first game of Week 8, it goes to Gamer Snails, an outcome that we expected, but sort of, didn't necessarily hope for. We do like to see it shaken up, but it does happen. And Ara has shown some immense growth. In last week's game, they only managed to snag 4 kills in 1 tower. Ara they did exceptionally well here, especially in that first half of the game. And like we had talked about before, it's that latter half where they don't necessarily know how to recover, how to kind of like batten down the hatches and get resources and come up with a good strat that they once again succumbed to, but much less soon than we thought last time, because last time's game was 24 minutes, so.
Yeah, this one definitely went over the 30-minute mark, which is what we've come to expect, at least for some of the semifinals games, usually the finals games, but we're kind of used to 25, 26, 27 minutes for a lot of these games. We've at least got enough weeks under our belt so we can kind of make a bit of a median or an average for that kind of thing. But that means that Gamer Sales are once again going to be moving on. We don't know exactly, or I don't know exactly. I don't know if we don't exactly know where they will be placed in the bracket. We know that Limit Testers and Your Nightmares were the two that received the bye early on. And on the other side of things, we had Air Force going up against Sailor Scouts, I think. So we'll take a look. Excellent. That was the case. Air Force Gaming going up against Sailor Scouts there. Thank you, production. You guys are the best.
Thank you so much.
Limit Testers going up against Gamer Snails, who we just saw take down Ara. Your Nightmares getting the bye on the second half of that bracket, and Sailor Scouts beating out Air Force Gaming. So that's going to be our semifinals for the day, folks. Finals, undetermined until we see some butts getting beaten. That's what a lot of these games end up being. I always feel bad for the loser, not because they didn't play well, but because these games turn so quickly. And it was maybe one misplay or one misposition that really sets things going or gets the ball rolling for the winning team to find the final push that they need. Really well played this time by RR and Gamer Snails. I am so incredibly impressed with RR in particular. We've talked about Gamer Snails' growth in the past and how they've had a lot of roster changes.
Yes.
And, they've had their ups and downs. But RR has had a real struggle. And this feels like way more than 1 week of growth from this team. Absolutely. It's as though they finally hit their stride. It's unfortunate that it took them this long to get to that point where they are making really, really big steps forward, second to last week of the tournament. But they've played at least every single week. They've come back, and that's a big part of it, is teams that are like, oh, I only have to be there 5 of the weeks and just get first place every time, so I won't participate. Or on the other side, teams will do really poorly and say, well, I'm not going to get the points necessary. These guys are constantly in the finals. Why should I even keep playing? These guys, and I will say Chloe Plays is another one that has signed up continuously. These two teams, even though we have barely gotten to cast the games or they haven't gotten very far in the brackets, I love seeing them come back and being as high as they are now in that bracket and potentially having the capacity to go on to finals. We'll have to see how the remaining games play out tonight, as we do have 3 more to go on through today. But I'm so proud of RR. Like, It's almost like they heard what we said just early game and instantly implemented it. Like before the game started, they're like, okay, yeah, that's it. Put that on the drive.
Yeah. Gotta
That's what
implement
we're
that
going
one.
in with. And obviously that's not the case. It's not like zero credit. Zero credit goes to us.
None.
100% none. Because we've kind of been saying that a lot of these weeks. That same kind of thing. But it's almost as though someone on RR recognized it, or all players at the same time just hit that stride, and they're like, all right, yes, we got this. This is where we progress and move forward. So I love seeing that big jump forward for this team. Even at the end, the fact that it's there is a really big deal. So great job to everyone here. That was a spectacular way to start the night. Again, Gamer Snails did come out victorious on that one. So basically ban the Darius.
Yeah, honestly, like that noisy Darius was really grind. Ghosty on Warwick was really good too. I mean, absolutely played like a great supporting role, but Noisy became the star of that game, the absolute terror. And I think that's why you kind of see those Darius bans when you're playing ranked every so often. You're like, that person got their just butt spanked by a Darius at some point, and now they just can't let it go. And that's the kind of performance you can expect from somebody who plays that top lane so aggressively. Those beginning segments were indicative of how this game would continue to go after. That was absolutely nuts on the Noisy part. I also, like you said, character growth helps Slifer really standing up there, locking down those objectives. I mean, in terms of objectives, until the last 6 minutes of that game, they were keeping up in terms of objectives. Maybe not in gold or deaths, but Help Slifer, despite all odds, was really locking that stuff down. And you can win that way. You don't necessarily have to engage in every skirmish. You can even rotate the other team. As long as you have those objectives, you can get that edge. Because at the end of the day, what actually wins the game is those objectives. You have to get the Nexus at the end of the day. So really
Teamwork,
solid.
folks.
Yeah, teamwork. Yeah, exactly. It actually wins you the game there. It's not actually just carrying. In fact, there isn't always a carry. And in fact, most of these games, we don't have a clear MVP. Right. Until you kind of go back and watch it.
Unless you're Solari's Revenge.
Yeah, unless you're Solari's Revenge, and then you carry every single game that you win. So, I mean, that's the truth of that one. Or Dopamine.
Or Dopamine, yeah. And now I think we have the standard roster on a couple of the other teams that, we had Your Nightmares have a few weeks of struggling, having Alpha Male Jungler. Last week, the return of Alpha Male Jungler, and still just not quite figuring things out. Because I believe Limit Testers took that one home pretty decisively.
2 weeks in a row here.
Still, 27 minutes is what I at least have in my notes here. But still, I remember there being a lot of struggle on returning back from that little vacation that Your Nightmares had, at least from their standard roster. So we'll figure out exactly how things end up going. We have 3 more games to go through tonight, both semifinals, and obviously that finals game. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a really quick commercial, and then we will be back heading into those semis for the Supergirl Gamer Pro Tournament. Thank you very much.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this. Brake. Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't gonna compromise, why should you? You're right. That a girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra, with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
It's not just the ships, the armor, or the aircraft. It's something more. It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers a nation's call. Battles won.
My head is heavy, let me lay it down. Into your lap, I would love to drown. I need that story I used to hear, to run on and to and disappear. Your story is to come from the heart, moving together and tear me apart. Burning down the walls, we let the monsters in, and now we're running down the halls. No, we can't let them win. There's an evil inside, just lurking way down below. And if I can't hold my breath.
Hello, thanks for sticking around with us. We are going to be heading into the semifinal games here tonight for the Supergirl Gamer Pro series, a series dedicated to women in gaming, which is, I guess, what we are here. This side? All right, that's where you are. I am Jolly, joined by Kari. Other way. Joined by Kari tonight. We are in week number 8 out of 9 weeks, not including the tournament, of course, where there is $12,500 up for grab to be split across the top 2 teams. So the top 10 players of this series will be going home with a pretty decent amount of cash in their pockets. We also have CSGO that will be happening on the Friday before the League of Legends tournament on Saturday, and then Hearthstone on Sunday, as has been the routine for the entirety of these 8 weeks so far. We just saw a pretty crazy game up against here Ara, and the Gamer Snails ended up going in favor of the Gamer Snails. There, Ara put up a really solid fight, but ended up getting taken over pretty heavily towards the end, mostly by Noisy in the top lane on that heavy-hitting Darius. Before we hop into the next game, as we've got, I think, Champ Select relatively ready. I got some new glasses, as you can see here.
Oh, glasses, you
Yeah,
say?
we all love the Zenny ads that pop up in between here, but it does really, really help with the blue blocks. There, I love it. Yes, you're so ready for it.
I look like a witch now, you know? Like, I'm kind of like, eh.
You look like halfway to KDA Evelyn.
Yeah,
like
I'm so close.
maybe a little bit more. Yeah, a little more than halfway to KDA Evelyn. Just like a little bit, yeah, more purple and blue, and you'd be there.
And we're good. Yeah, absolutely.
These are awesome glasses, though. They're insanely cheap as well. There's thousands of frames on the website to look at, and you
So
can
many
go
frames.
on your phone, or you can go on the
So
website
many.
and do a virtual try-on, right? So many different frames. From
Yeah,
the,
we could do this all day long, honestly. You think we can't plug things? We can.
Right. Oh, totally. Exactly. And the blue blocks you can add to any pair of glasses for right around $10. That is going to block the blue light as well on all the Zenny glasses. And there's prescription, non-prescription. I mean, anything you want. just spectacular. And they're the only glasses I found where pretty much any frame I can wear with my headset because I have an on-ear headset and not be incredibly uncomfortable after even 4 hours of casting. So gotta throw that out there. Love my Zenny glasses. I got hooked up with pairs and I just cannot go back to putting contacts in my eyeballs. All right, we now have time. We are going to be heading over to Champion Select for game number 1, or at least the semifinals. Game number 1, Your Nightmares going up against Sailor Scouts, and this one will absolutely be a knockdown, drag 'em out between two long-lasting teams from the very beginning of this series, or at least the second week for Your Nightmares here.
Oh gosh. So last week we saw Your Nightmares against Game Snails, and now we've pivoted over from Your Nightmares to Sailor Scouts. We got Your Nightmares here, Sign Me Up as their top alpha male jungler, our favorite in the jungle, Solaris Revenge in the mid, Ame in the ADC position, and Clorox on the rocks. As Jolly always says, the only way to drink Clorox.
Really, the only way to drink it. I mean, really, if you don't have the little umbrella, you're doing it wrong. That's what makes it wrong. That's what makes it
comes with the. It actually comes with the Clorox. Can you believe that?
The little umbrella.
Yeah, it comes taped to the side of the bleach can, so that's nice. I can't believe they started including that because of the player. On the Sailor Scout side, we have Prothean in top, Goldflower in jungle, Pan in the mid there, Lilac Soul in the ADC, and Necky Lime, our beautiful Necky Lime, in the support role there. We do have bans already coming in as well. We have a Caitlyn ban, Lilac Soul. I absolutely recommend that, especially because Caitlyn is in the S tier of ADCs right now, and a huge pain in the ass with those crits. Taking away Kayn from that Goldflower, probably a good decision. I would say I expect a Vi ban from Sailor Scouts for Alpha Male Jungle, but we will see. Getting rid of that Graves as well. I think that this is going to be Alpha Male Jungler's game to shine. I love these bans. Taking away the Fiora from Sign Me Up that last week you were just like, oh no, Sign Me Up has played Fiora. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
And then Solaris Revenge.
Was terrifying.
Oh yeah. And I hate, and you hate to see that Cassiopeia, but we saw Solaris Revenge getting that Twisted Fate Faker pick there that they played last week. They went 8-0-12 against the Gamer Snails. You can probably infer who won the Your Nightmares Gamer Snails game last week. It was just Solaris Revenge, actually. The rest of the team didn't even show up. Can you believe that? They're like, I mean, Alpha Male Jungler's our favorite, but none of them even came to the game, and Solaris Revenge just 1v5'd the entire team. It's crazy. I can't believe that we let that happen. But we did get the Lilac Soul Ashe pick. Glad to see Ashe back in that game. Ooh, Leona, Necky Lime, that's gonna be so good. That is such a good pick. And Lilac Soul actually works really, really well with those more tanky picks as well, and does a really good job of positioning and just being there when their tank decides that they want to go in. So impressed with that pick as well. This is the jungle band there, the nod to Alpha Male Jungler on that Echo. Hopefully that Vi pick is next, or else it's probably gonna get the old ban hammer.
Oh yeah. We'll see what gets picked up. I feel like Alpha Male Jungler at this point feels kind of safe enough to say go ahead if we want higher priority pick. You know, I can work with it. We've seen 3 or 4. I think we've seen 4 bans directed specifically at Alpha Male Jungler in the past, and probably same kind of thing actually happening to Goldflower and Prothean. For multiple games there. But there's never been a point where clearly Alpha Male Jungler has been like, oh no, I have to go to this one, and they've never there it is. Never been to the point where they play poorly, but she got her Vi, and we have seen this Vi decimate. And you know how much we've talked about these teams loving the early game, lots of pressure, not so much focusing on these scalers to go into the late game. They want to take it on early and very fast. That is the champion to do it. And then a Kaisa pickup. And actually on the other side, the other champion to do it, we all forgot about Goldflower's Hecarim, which is I mean, like if there's a thing, you know, Your Nightmares definitely survive in my nightmares. But I will say Goldflower's Hecarim has popped up many, many times in my nightmares.
Yeah, and can absolutely play step-to-step with Alpha Male Jungler's Vi. It's gonna be a fun jungle game. That's all I can say about that. I think it's gonna be really, really dynamic and fun to watch. We got 2 top bans here, since those are the only ones left. Well, sort of. We have the Mordekaiser here and the Jax as well. getting banned out from Sign Me Up and Prothean, I think that we have seen really solid performances from Prothean on both Volibear and Mordekaiser, and the Mordekaiser is definitely the priority as far as picks go. And Jax on Sign Me Up just has the silliest champion pool, just the gosh darn silliest champ pool, and I think banning away that Jax. Ornn is an exceptionally good ban for Sign Me Up as well. Ornn is one of the most underrated champions in this entire game, and has rose to prominence, especially in the last season. Pan getting the classic Ahri. Really glad to see everybody getting really strong picks here. Nobody necessarily is picking off. I mean, like you said before, Alpha Male Jungle and Solaris Revenge both have champion pools that are just so disgustingly deep that, like, what is really the point of banning?
Bother?
Yeah, anything except that, like, very specific, like the Vi or the Cassiopeia.
Right, they're number one. Yes,
Yeah, what's the
definitely,
point?
I can agree with that. Oh my god, the Nautilus! I love it!
Good. That's such a good pick to compete with the Leona. I feel so
Especially
spicy.
as Clorox on the rocks, a lot of that style of champion, the heavy engage, and then a Camille is the final pickup, who we have not seen, but I absolutely adore and fits this team style. Oh my god, just a Camille and a Vi going in on somebody. No one can gank, like, counter gank that top lane.
Yeah, oh man. This is gonna be so cool because it just kind of proves that Sign Me Up, who's played like Lilia, Aurelia, Fiora, and now I guess has Camille in their champ pool. How cool is that? Like, I'm excited to see if Sign Me Up also has the deep, deep champion pool. That's kind of your Nightmare's reputation, right? We've talked about it before. Immense adaptability, but Camille versus Urgot, in terms of favorability, I'm actually not 100% sure. If I had to guess, I'd say that Urgot probably has the better late game. What are you thinking, Jolly, here on the top lane?
Yeah, I definitely think Urgot has the kill ability. Camille has survivability because she has, you know, the hook shot. If she could get an early lead, then she definitely has the opportunity to get that. But I think the best bet for Sign Me Up is once you get in game, Alt F4, and you'll win. You'll win.
Just walk away from your
keyboard,
if you're
in a losing matchup, the best way to go about it is
I
just
agree,
Alt F4.
Turn tail and run.
Yeah, that one, and occasionally I found that getting good helps a little bit depending on the lane matchup.
Mm-hmm. I think that getting good is one of those things that you just. You can either Alt F4 or you get good.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of people don't even consider getting good to win the game, but
actually 93% of League players don't ever get good, so
it's a valid strategy, I will say that. Prothean does have the upper hand, though, in this top lane, but this one I'm not as confident on, and I would say probably just because it's got a little more sway to it, because it is not a heavy lead. At least from what I'm aware, again, I might be, talking out something other than my mouth, and if I am, then you guys absolutely let me know. But the lack of mobility can give Sign Me Up and Your Nightmares a lot of potential, especially if, like I mentioned, that Vi and that Camille, just as a combination, the two of them, the amount of engage they have will be devastating if Alpha Male Jungler decides to focus towards that top side. Just a lot of bursts.
The only serious mobility they have is Goldflower, and maybe Pan caught at a good moment, but I think that Solaris Revenge is going to keep Pan in lane until the very last moment. I don't think we're going to see a lot of serious action happening because these are both extremely formidable mid laners, and if a mid laner is doing their job, they are smashing the other player, pushing their turret in and roaming, and neither person is going to allow the other to do that unless they're having a particularly bad game. You are right about the Camille and Prothean matchup. Either Sign Me Up gets an early game lead or doesn't win at all. So that's genuinely how that situation has to happen.
Now that I think about it too, with Prothean having the flip, it's a close range flip, so it's usually a little more difficult to get into on champions that have mobility. But unless Sign Me Up is planning on using the hookshot to escape, usually the hookshot is used to engage.
Always,
so all you do is watch for that hookshot lead when it goes out. Assume, you barely have to adjust what direction, so long as you're facing forward, essentially, and eat in response. And if the passive is still up, then you've got a lot of damage coming through from that Urgot. So, that might be a good thing because of the composition that Your Nightmares has, because Alpha Male Jungler is on the Vi. So maybe that's what they want, It's one of those lanes, and these players are good enough, and we've seen enough of them that we know the mind games are happening. If you're just playing standard fives, if you're going into a solo game and you've got 9 other players either against you or with you, and none of them are in communication with each other, you don't go in expecting, the mind games to be a big part of it. It's, a lot of skill, just raw skill. When it comes to these teams that come together, that's when they have the skill and the confidence in each other as players that they go to the point of, all right, now I can play using mind games. I can play beyond just trying to win this lane. I can play to win the game. And these teams play for the mind games. They play so hard. Solaris Revenge being a huge one of them. These guys all play for mind games. So,
Jolly.
I love these teams.
I'm worried for Sailor Scouts now, though, because you're so right about the matchup in top lane. Oh shoot, I could just see the downfall for Sailor Scouts, and I just hope to God that Prothean doesn't fall for it, because you're right, he's got to be in that close range, and that Camille, but that allows Alpha Male Jungler to just bust in and really make it a problem, camp that lane if Prothean gets too greedy early game. So I just hope that they, remember who their jungler is, and remember what their limits should be, and just ward up. But Prothean is not doing that right now, so I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Really deep ping there. I'm curious as to what that was coming from the blue side there from your Nightmares. It looked like maybe from the Camille.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and a very, very safe ward as well early on from the Sailor Scouts there by their red side. That might have been the Urgot just to ensure that used to be a standard. Not as much anymore to ward the red if your jungler starts blue, just as a top laner of, just the polite thing. But because there's so many early ganks in this game now, it's much safer to save your ward for the river, or save it for your own tri-bush if you were on the red side, or an aggressive tri-bush, I suppose, if you're on the blue side there. So just a safe play style coming from Sailor Scouts so far, and your Nightmares finding a little bit of pressure here. But look at this, Prothean has a massive push here. Almost double the CS, which is early enough on that that's not going to make a huge impact. But having that minion push that far ahead in that lane and giving yourself that big of a priority is huge.
Yeah, absolutely huge. And then having Goldflower there camping that top lane just to make sure that Alpha Male Jungler is not doing anything, but unfortunately is focusing on Pan in that mid lane. Solaris Revenge gets pushed out by Goldflower. The charm misses on Alpha Male Jungler from Pan. And it's, everybody gets out alive. Today, just this once, everybody... That's a lie!
Oh, the one hit would have done it. Pan leaves with their life, and Goldflower takes down Solaris Revenge, goes down in response, but picks up their first kill for the team.
I'm sorry, I missed who got first blood there. That all happened so fast. Man, it's my job, and I did not even... okay. So it was Sailor Scouts that got the first blood there, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, and then your Nightmares in Retaliation does pick up 2 more kills.
Goldflower got the one, yeah. Pan survived, left alive. No assist or anything, actually, for Pan on that one. Because it was really just a disengage.
Yeah, very, very good. Glad to see Clorox on the rocks rotating as well. Really solid use of resources to make sure that they were there for that clutch gank. So, your Nightmares, as usual, has flawless rotation and team communication. In that situation, they did have a bit of a stumble, but their response, as usual, is wildly over-proportionate to the initial call-in by the team that starts the engagement.
Right.
So your Nightmares is known for very punishing responses to any sort of action on the other team's side. So we do have Prothean coming down here with Goldflower. Maybe looking to make something happen here with Solaris Revenge. A solid target priority too for ganks. Then not really great for Solaris Revenge to have this second death already this early in the game at 5 minutes. It's, what, Solaris Revenge seems tilt-proof though, in my opinion, is willing to take those kills and willing to die in those situations. The gold disparity is not very high at all. Your Nightmares is still ahead, despite the mid lane struggle. We do have Ame in the bot lane with 2 kills already, which is scary because didn't we have our first pentakill on a Kaisa? Wasn't it, or was it a Vayne?
It was a Vayne.
Yeah, it was a Vayne.
But it was Ame. It was Ame.
That's right.
It wasn't on the Vayne. It looks like Alpha Male Jungler is focusing it down to this first dragon. A Cloud Drake is what we are looking at, and Sailor Scouts, none the wiser, have it stolen directly from beneath their nose. It's a really safe game Sailor Scouts are currently playing. Probably one of the safest games I have actually seen them play, since the start of this, when really the healers were just being put out. Goldflower's trying to wait for an opportunity here. The flip just barely missing, and the teleport coming through. Prothean actually gonna flash away from that one after missing the ultimate. Solari's Revenge is the one to engage on this lane. Takes down Prothean. The flash in response from Sign Me Up, who uses the ultimatum there. The ultimate comes out from Goldflower in response. A double kill going over to Goldflower, and a 2-for-1 there for Sailor Scouts.
We have seen this Hecarim scale out of control. This Hecarim has absolutely been key to the Sailor Scouts' success. We are huge fans of Goldflower. The jungle games that we have seen them on have just been an absolute delight to watch. And as usual, they aren't disappointing at all. Goldflower has an incredible Kayn game, has an incredible Elise game, and has a nearly flawless Hecarim game. So this is, again, a really great game to watch, especially if you love jungling. I think that Goldflower and Alpha Male Jungler are two of the most stunning examples of really, really, really good junglers in this game.
Absolutely, and all the top laners across the board. I say I was going to say Sign Me Up and Prothean are two of the most formidable top laners, but even, looking back to the previous game of having Noisy there and Cisco, who's been camped so hard in the past, we've got a ton of amazing top laners in this entire tournament. These just happen to be two of the most prolific ones that have shown up so far, with the depth in their champion pools, with the comeback ability from some of these losing lanes. Neki Lime there is going to have to flash out after being ignited, and Ame is going to respond by using the ultimate to hit the back line there. Lilac Soul trying to get some damage down, and Clorox on the rocks is going to throw the flash into the mix. A double kill going over to Ame there, as a few summoner spells and a stopwatch was used by Clorox on the rocks.
Not bad, not bad. I think that these are two evenly matched teams. I can see some improvements from Sailor Scouts as well. Definitely, like you said, playing a little bit safer here. You can see that.
Ultimate coming from Solari's Revenge. Prothean is taking tower shots, took at least 2 on that one. The Hextech Ultimatum coming out from side. We have a lot of damage coming from Prothean, but the assistance of Solari's Revenge meant that Prothean was not able to do the damage necessary, and Sign Me Up sits pretty at 1-1-1.
Your Nightmares knows the win condition. They are fully aware of the fact that if they can get Sign Me Up ahead of Prothean in this game, they have a very high potential chance of winning. Urgot definitely requires that early game lead to maintain through the game and continue to be useful. Not the highest utility champ to be able to see themselves through that. Alpha Male Jungler is zoning Goldflower here. Solari's Revenge manages to get a stun in. Pan trying to retaliate against Solari's Revenge, and they go straight for Solari's Revenge, who pops a stopwatch against Goldflower.
Single dish, that has to have been single dish. Ame coming in with the Q. A couple flashes coming out there from Pan and Alpha Male Jungler, but really just a disengagement from that fight, ending it a 1-for-1 there, right?
Yeah. I don't think Solari's Revenge necessarily expects the kind of target prio that Sailor Scouts is displaying.
Ame trying to just go back in the lane. Clorox on the rocks is on the other side. This could be a potential pinch here, but the ones who start out the engagement are the Sailor Scouts. Clorox on the rocks tries to follow it up with a hook there, ends up hitting the wall and moving a mere centimeter across the screen. The ultimate now coming out onto Lilac Soul. A flash away from the passive there, and the passive is going to hit Neki Lime, who throws up the shield. Alpha Male Jungler on the backside trying to engage on this fight, but Goldflower is also coming in. We know the speed this boy has. Here he comes, the hip back there on to these Nightmares, and Ame is going to be forced to flash away as Lilac Soul follows up a crystalline arrow that managed to hit just the ADC there. All of these summoner spells used on that bottom side from your Nightmare. Sailor Scouts still holding on to 1 with Neki Lime there. No plates down, though, on this bottom side, though. So 3-5 means that your Nightmares have had a lot of pressure down here. Ame is going to be jumped on the Zenith Blade, and the stun hits. Neki Lime takes a tower shot. Now Alpha Male Jungler re-engages on the fight to take down Neki Lime on the backside. The remainder of these Sailor Scouts are going to disengage from the fight. Lilac Soul and Goldflower are still up and alive and wanting to fight, but not necessarily knowing where the rest of this team is, as some pings are coming out from your Nightmares towards the mid side. This dragon is going to be spawning soon as well. So that was a good setup. Your Nightmares ending up successfully kind of taking control of this area.
Yeah, absolutely. So impressed with Alpha Male Jungler's ability to just immediately pivot over there and pick up that Neki Lime kill as well, which forces them to have to go back and reset. Losing Neki Lime and that also will likely lose them the dragon, but it does look like Alpha Male Jungler's actually going back to reset, knowing the movement speed that Goldflower does have on Hecarim. And I mean, Goldflower has gone, 12-0 and 7 on previous Hecarim games.
Oh, the
Prothean
ultimatum comes out there. It is Solar's Revenge. I mean, I'm not sure if that was actually necessary, the ultimate in from Solar's Revenge. It helped Sign Me Up get that engage, but not a ton of damage was dealt there in response. Sailor Scouts, in the meantime, are going to find themselves an engagement onto this Infernal Drake, and they might get pinched around as Alpha Male Jungler tries to jump in from the backside, waiting for a good time to go in. The ultimate's coming out from both the Glorx on the rocks and Goldflower there on the backside. A shutdown going on to Ame, and Ame picks up the kill there. After that, onto Lilac, so Alpha Male Jungler taking down Pan. A triple kill going over to Goldflower. The Solar Flare coming out for Neki Lime, trying to just stay alive. And Sailor Scouts win that one. I believe it was 3-4 or 4-3.
Yep, you've got it there. That is a unfortunate turn of events for your Nightmares. It seems like they had it and kind of underestimated Goldflower's abilities here. Prothean is going hard in the paint against Sign Me Up there. Really, really difficult situation for Sign Me Up. Still is not high enough. The game is not mature or advanced enough that even with that lead that Sign Me Up has, 1v1 against Prothean does not stand a chance. Camille still needs more time to cook. We're only 13 minutes into this game. Sign Me Up. Just chill. It's all good. Wait for your friend Solaris Revenge, your jungle Alpha Male Jungler to come in and feed you. You still need some time to grow. Just, cart before the horse.
Alpha Male Jungler does have the sweeper, can see it and stop the recall. Prothean is going to try to engage as the teleport comes through onto that backside board. Alpha Male Jungler is going to get the kill before Prothean is able to retaliate and before Sign Me Up manages to get back to lane. No assist going over to Sign Me Up. Feels a little rough on that one, but Hextech Ultimatum's almost back up. So he's not feeling too horrible here.
You know what? I can feel you. Can you feel the excitement coming off of Sign Me Up? It's just like, put me in, coach. I'll take them all out. Like, is really, knows that they are the darling of this game right now with Solaris Revenge and Alpha Male Jungler. Basically betting on Sign Me Up's success in the top lane to help carry them through this game. And Sign Me Up really wants to be that star player, but unfortunately, a little too excited there. It gets shut down by Goldflower. Sign Me Up is a win condition at this point, and you can see the amount of investment. Solaris Revenge, to their own detriment, has been investing in Sign Me Up's lane, and so has Alpha Male Jungler. So when you die like that, especially with vision in the bush to really no fault of your own, it's rough. Your whole team probably feels a little demoralized. But, the bot lane's going really well here. Solaris Revenge has pivoted quite a bit. Goldflower there is focusing on the Rift Herald as well, while Alpha Male Jungle holds that mid lane for Solaris Revenge and starts to make their way over, but unfortunately not quickly enough before they snag that Rift Herald. It looks like the bot lane has actually been pretty contentious, but no very serious skirmishes since that double kill that Ame picked up. So still pretty good there. Solaris Revenge is really trying to control the flow of the game by doing a lot of rotation and using that mobility. But they do use the Rift Herald very quickly in that mid lane and takes that turret out. And your Nightmares have to retaliate.
Sign Me Up engaging on the backside with the hook shot. There is the pick up as the Solar Flare gets a lockdown on the back line. Not going to be enough to save Goldflower, who ended up going down. Your Nightmares finding a really solid engage on that one. The next target likely will be Prothean as some pings come out from Solaris Revenge and Sign Me Up. No Hextech Ultimatum or Flash available here, but there is a Solaris Revenge in the wings who uses that ultimate to engage and get Sign Me Up the second kill there in the last minute and a half.
Oh gosh, Goldflower's gonna have to carry this game on their shoulders now. Sign Me Up is starting to get very far ahead. Ame and Chloris on the rocks in the mid lane. Pan, Lilac Soul comes in with the Crystalline Arrow, and Pan tries to clean that up. But Alpha Male Jungler does manage to pull Pan out and then flash away. However, Alpha Male Jungler they are giving chase with Goldflower coming in from the side as well. Is this the end of Alpha Male Jungler? No, it does not seem so. It does seem that Sign Me Up did manage to cut Goldflower's path off there, as well as Solaris Revenge. Good show of solidarity and defensive zoning on the part of your Nightmares. So I'm actually very impressed by the entire team coming in for each other there in what could have been a really nasty picking for the Sailor Scouts. So glad to actually see the same kind of rotations and teamwork that we always see from your Nightmares there, but Goldflower is becoming an issue.
Yes.
Like a real issue.
Goldflower is becoming an issue. Okay, but don't forget about Ame, who is sitting here with a ridiculous amount of kills, a ridiculous amount of assists, and 1 or 2 deaths, I think, total. So I've got a permanent upset. I've just spilled my energy drink all over my.
Oh no! You're
it avoided my keyboard, and you know.
Are you sure?
We're good. It's still lighting up all pretty, so I think we're all right.
Yeah, two opposing sides.
Right? Oh no, mine's cooler though. I gotta
yours is cooler.
Yeah, we're getting back into the game. Just long enough for me to complain about losing half my energy drink.
If you need me to stall, you can run and go get paper towels. I don't want anything to
happen.
I
had a shirt down here that I used.
Oh no! I hope it wasn't my shirt.
No, I mean, hey, you know what? All my shirts have been doused in energy drinks at some point. Okay,
it's the
that's just
christening.
part
We
of
call
being
it
a gamer.
baptism.
Part of being a gamer. I do. Look, 6-1-1 is what Ame is sitting at. So almost,
nasty.
I mean, almost half the kills here on this team. 6 out of the 15. And only 1 death there as well. So Ame has been doing a really incredible job of maintaining this lane as well. But looking at now, Solar's Revenge getting jumped on by 2 members. Nothing can be done here. Clark's on the rocks trying to follow that up, but not enough time is available to save someone's life that quickly. Solar's Revenge sitting at 6 deaths now. The exact opposite almost of that 6-1-1, 1-6-6 here. So Solar's Revenge feeling a little bit hurt. Got a lot of the CS differential across the board. For the most part, is in favor of your Nightmares. The smaller differentials are in favor of Sailor Scouts, but 121-79 in the bottom lane, 121-98. And oh my gosh, Goldflower has found another engagement. Simeyup is taking so much damage here, but Ame, like I mentioned there on that backside, able to send Goldflower flashing over the wall just to escape that fight, even though Simeyup likely would have gone down as well.
We have absolutely no reprieve in this game. Look at how well Sailor Scouts are doing. I could scream right now. They're just killing it. With Goldflower, they're at 11-3-2, and Solaris Revenge doing some incredible rotations, and at his own detriment, not being able to collect any of those kills that he usually does. Really unfortunate they're getting caught out. Sign Me Up is looking to kind of get a pick there on Nicolime, but not so much. Just kind of sits there and says hello, and then goes back out. Lilac
the wall hold on the kill.
I know, it's very
that's
like
a mind game on its own right there. You've got that half a second of, all right, Camille, where are you going exactly?
Where is she? Where could
Does
she
she
be?
even know where she's going? Because I certainly do not. A Hawkshot being sent over, a little bit of vision for the Sailor Scouts here.
Sailor Scouts need this dragon too, eh?
They do. and the bottom lane has been hurting. I talked about Ame doing really well. A lot of that occurred in the bottom lane thanks to the appearance of Alpha Male Jungler a couple times and Solari's Revenge as well. But that means that the opposing bottom lane is not feeling great, hurting quite a bit. 0-4-3 and behind by, 50 CS. And this is a really rough struggle now for Lilac Soul, who plays the Ashe so consistently well and has just encountered a really rough matchup. I think a lot of it is Clorox on the rocks, who we hardly give the tanky support all of that credit, but the roam and the aggression from Clorox has been huge. And now we can see Sign Me Up trying to go against Prothean here in the bottom side. The hook shot to re-engage back onto that one. The ultimate not being used there, and his Hextech ultimatum just too late. 25% was hit. An exhaust throwing down onto Prothean, but so much damage from the passive there, and it's Solari's Revenge able to barely stay alive by killing Prothean, who used a flash right at the end. But 3 members of Sailor Scouts now find a very sweet opportunity. Takes down an incredibly low Solari's Revenge. They were all willing to take a few tower shots to secure that kill.
You know what I feel listen, Solari's Revenge is sitting there at 2-7-6, but has been in every single space on the map, has really done their very best to help with rotations, help their teammates out, and make sure to minimize the damage. So by collecting that kill from Prothean, they're doing their best to make sure that it's an evenly matched lane for Sign Me Up. Solari's Revenge's sacrifices do not go unnoticed in this game. Clorox on the rocks trying to defend that turret and get enough time for Ame to come in, but unfortunately does not make it. Sign Me Up is looking to get a little bit of pan here. who really just wants to farm and get up a little bit there, but is not managing to do so. Is very far ahead,
Slick
actually.
shot by both of
wow.
them. The hook shot dodged the charm, and then the dash away from Pan to avoid that landing off of the hook shot.
I did.
So
I
it's
liked
very
the
tricky
skill.
on both sides.
Yeah, both very tricksy hobbitses, as they say. Very, very silly. I really like that. I just, I really still, Solaris Revenge's map awareness is both a curse and a blessing. Having to be involved in all these skirmishes, knowing that even if your teammate goes down, you still have to try to clean up for them to minimize the damage that Sailor Scouts is doing here, I think is a really, really skillful, interesting thing. With Sign Me Up struggling to stay ahead of Prothean, but still doing it with relative ease. But Prothean, even though he is not that far ahead, still beats Sign Me Up in a 1v1. So we're starting to get, a little bit further in the game. 20 minutes, and Sign Me Up still can't 1v1 Prothean, and that becomes quite an issue. Despite the even kill spread across your Nightmares, Sailor Scouts does have some powerhouses, and unfortunately, Prothean did not get shut down hard enough to not be one.
We saw that one coming! No one but us saw that one coming. 4 members of Sailor Scouts, we got an opportunity, and of all the people to walk into that, Solaris Revenge is a perfect target for them to be able to take down and then turn their engage onto this Baron, already half healthy. And this is a very quick Baron burn for this early in the game, and not a lot of damage being taken over. We see all the pings coming out here from Your Nightmares, trying to find an engagement before it goes down, but they are not able to do so. Pan and the rest of the team need to survive this to keep that Baron buff on. The stun going down, the tag Freedom coming out. That's going to take down Nike Lime, but Ame finds one. Lilac Soul finds one and has to use that kill to escape. Absolutely, Celine Arrow was already expending Gold Flower now. Trying to find the re-engage on this one, but just not enough mana on a couple members here of Sailor Scouts to go through with what they want to. They are going to shove back Your Nightmares, and they are going to be able to take this tower as they have the Baron minion push, and it is currently a 4v3. And look at the vision on board as well, just across the entire map here. Sailor Scouts are heavily in control. And even using the sweeper here at this point when nothing is on board, a couple of recalls there stalled, and now at this point, hey, you know what, you're going to mess up our recalls, you're going to BM like that, well, we're going to clear out your jungle. Thanks for the red buff, Your Nightmares.
So impudent. Now we're going to fight over Dragon. Very, very impudent. But Alpha Male Jungler is on the way to try to make a difference here. But Pan does manage to land a charm on Sign Me Up. Is this the end for Sign Me Up? It is not quite yet. Prothean really, really wanted it, though. Really, really bad. We do have Solaris Revenge coming in here, popping that ult, making sure they have vision on the other team. There are some pings coming in from Your Nightmares as well. I think it's kind of just a decision of whether or not to actually engage on this, but Alpha Male Jungler has made it very clear they will not be there to engage on this dragon. Your Nightmares need to scale back. I do like that kind of jungler. We don't see that with Help Slifer and Ara, but they're starting to learn that lesson, whereas Alpha Male Jungler absolutely knows that's not the engage we want to fight over, that's not the objective that we're willing to die over. We're behind just by just a hair, so let's make sure that we pick back up our resources, we get some farming, and we don't wipe to Sailor Scouts at a point where they could end the game.
Yeah, and I think
that Baron buff.
I think that was communicated well too, because actually right before, as we saw 3 members of Your Nightmares kind of heading down towards the backside of that Dragon Pit, we saw Solaris Revenge use the ultimate and actually go back up to the top side of Your Nightmares jungle. So in a defensive position, saying, all right, we are not engaging on this one. Might as well decide that now before we waste any time around that pit and take what we can for it, or at least make up for what we might have lost.
Yeah, absolutely love Solaris Revenge's chemistry with the entire team. You can tell it's those defensive moves that make them a true leader. This is the true leader of this team, the true captain. Solaris Revenge makes the call. The rest of the team does what they say. And I think that really lends to Your Nightmare's ability to make these very finessed team moves. Whereas right now, this is just a defense strategy. They do have to recover a little bit in terms of towers, because we are at 2 towers for Your Nightmares and 4 for Sailor Scouts. Sailor Scouts is putting on an incredible performance, by the way. This team, far and away, has the most growth I've ever seen. Last week we saw them against Limit Testers, and they did an incredible job of holding their own despite not winning the game itself, but this is everything that they've worked for. Facing off against Your Nightmares and actually showing some very consistent growth. Sign Up goes in for the slow there on Lilac Soul, unfortunately. Still manages to keep their life for a brief moment before Prothean manages to target their backline with Ame. A solid play on Prothean's part, because if you look here in the mid lane, Pan, Goldflower, and Nekilime are actually pushing for that inhibitor. At what cost? Your Nightmares, at what cost did you need to shut down Prothean?
Your Nightmares play is the best
I know.
part of that. It is such a play we've seen. Sign me up, and usually Alpha Male Jungler are the two where they're like, all right, I'm gonna, I'm gonna play my tanky champion, or I'm gonna play my survivable champion down here. And there is a lot of mobility available from those top two, at least in the LCS order there, Sign Me Up and Alpha Male Jungler. And the rest of the team pushes and takes so much more away than maybe 1 or 2 deaths that we just saw Your Nightmares get towards the bottom side, the 2 deaths on those members. So such a Your Nightmares play. How does it feel? Ask the Sailor Scouts, because they are working it so incredibly well. Dragons are even, kills are even, but towers are in their favor, and gold, even as slight as it is still favorable towards the Sailor Scouts currently.
This is exactly what you and I asked for. This is the wish list that we wanted. We wanted to see like a team's meteoric rise. We have seen Sailor Scouts get absolutely crushed by other teams, like Limit Testers, like Your Nightmares. And then last week, we saw this incredible performance up until the last 2 to 3 minutes of the game. Sailor Scouts against Limit Testers holding their own. And now here they are on the other side. They cannot afford to lose a single piece of a resource. They cannot lose. They cannot stand to take a breath. They absolutely need to keep on top of it, because any moment at 26 minutes, Your Nightmares will absolutely push to win. So Sailor Scouts need to keep it together. They need to be very strategic. They need to be very, very well aligned, because I can guarantee that Your Nightmares is doing that right now. You can see they're moving together as a unit. You do have Sign Me Up and Prothean in the bot lane there, while the rest of their team does move to meet Sailor Scouts on the top lane. And Solaire's Revenge is actually making their way down to that lane. Oh, and they do take out Prothean, which gives them... Yeah, it cracks open that bottom lane. How can Sailor Scouts respond to that duo on bot? It doesn't look like they're going to be able to before they potentially take out that turret.
Not much can be taken off of that. Yes, they got the kills and they have the push, but Sailor Scouts still have really good vision down there.
They do.
And they still at least have the 2 towers. So worst comes to worst, I would assume they would recall after that tower goes down and head back towards the base so they can prevent the inhibitor tower to go down. They're going to actually re-engage on this one. Not a single member of Sailor Scouts deciding to prevent that base invasion. Looks like Goldflower's going to continue on the backside and ult those 2 members, Alpha Male Jungler and Ame. Crystalline Arrow just barely missing, and in the meantime, on the backside of that fight, Clorox on the rocks goes down. And now, these 2 members of Your Nightmares are breaking it, or have broken into the base, have made it through that first red inhibitor and almost even things up. Sailor Scouts do have pressure on these towers right now. That teleport is going to be interrupted though. Sign Me Up, not able to come protect the base, and that may have just saved the game there, or given the game over to Sailor Scouts, allowed that recall to not be taken by Your Nightmares. Sailor Scouts gonna take this one for themselves. Oh my god!
What the what just happened?
That was insane! I swear the game was going to go at least another 5-10 minutes after we saw the teleport going down onto the second Nexus tower. But the tear away from the top laner, from Prothean on the Urgot, who played so exceptionally well in a winning lane, was kind of camped on a little bit, but managed to find every single advantage possible. And every single member here of Sailor Scouts played so incredibly well. Prothean and Goldflower are always standout performers on this team, but the cohesion that these guys have found have just knocked Your Nightmares out of the first semifinals game. I cannot believe this is spectacular. We've seen them take down, top tier teams before, but Your Nightmares having their original roster back to where they were almost undefeated against these other teams, really aside from Limit Testers, that just really shows and reinforces the growth that this team has had, that we have seen over the last 8 weeks now, and they are going to be making it into the finals tonight.
Oh, I'm so we're overcome with emotion, especially because the Sailor Scouts have fought so hard every single game. They had a really unfortunate game where they were disqualified, and the win went to Gamer Snails. And you could tell that since then it maybe had like psychologically had an impact on them. They were like, oh, we lost these points when we could have had them. Had a bit of a shaky performance the next week. And then this week, the last week and the week prior, I'm so proud. Like, especially Goldflower is one of the names that you and I immediately took to. We always remember that name
And
as
Prothean.
well. Yeah, and Prothean was a darling.
Probably the first, with Volibear the first week or two.
Yep. Exactly, just about to say that.
Yeah.
Our little darling. We were both like, when they picked that Volibear, we were both just like, that's our boy! Rawr! Like, it was very cute.
And while we've seen the Volibear picked up as well by other teams, really no one has performed quite as well as Prothean on that Volibear, and a lot of it has to do with the support of Goldflower focusing every lane that needs it. And this kind of team, though, like, while we've seen Sailor Scouts enhancing their performance, clearly improving their communication, their vision, these things that we've touched on that are very important and integral to every game of League of Legends. While they've been improving on that, this week, they shut down your nightmares. It's not even that they were finding little victories or they were at least accumulating something on their losses. No, they were making these opportunities happen. They were making these engagements that they wanted, and they were the ones that were in control of the map. Clearly, sneaking up on your nightmares, having the top two members there, distract two other members so they could break into the base, and then dedicating themselves to recognizing, you know what? They can invade our base. Go for it. We have the push here. We need maybe one other member back to stop that, but two members of their team versus 4 in a broken base is clearly our win, and they just took it. They reached out and took what they've been trying to get in the past several weeks we've seen. This time, it was a do or do not. There was no try for these guys, and they did it. No problem.
If we see Sailor Scouts in the finals, I sure hope we get like some sort of epic growth montage. Like, I'm truly, truly impressed. This is the team. This is like our underdog darling that we have watched, and we've like identified such skill and such passion for the game. And now everything that we kind of hoped for them is coming true, and it is so good to watch. Especially like, hey, listen, Solaris Revenge, Alpha Male Jungler, Sign Me Up, Ame, Clorox on the Rocks, 5 of our favorite players.
Yes.
But Sailor Scouts may have a very specific apple of our eye now, having just meteorically risen through the ranks in ways that you and I could have never predicted. The growth here.
And I think a big piece of that, and it probably impacts me more than it should, but week number 1, your Nightmares and Limit Testers weren't there. They were not participating in week number 1. Week number 1, the finals, we saw Sailor Scouts and we saw Gamer Snails, and we're like, all right, cool. Everything seems level. Even all the teams are really playing off each other well, and it doesn't seem like there's any heavy stomps. And then Limit Testers and your Nightmares came in and just started decimating. I mean, they started ripping opponents apart.
They did.
And Gamer Snails and Sailor Scouts were two of these teams that constantly went up against Limit Testers and your Nightmares, and they just faced so many walls. They got camps where they really needed a lot of pressure early on, or they weren't allowed to really take objectives whatsoever. They didn't have any control early enough, or they were bullied out of lanes, things like that. This is what we hope for, what you don't ever expect really going into one of these things, that a team will be there from day one and continue on throughout the whole ordeal and improve incredibly, because we went into week 2 thinking these are our guys, Gamer Snails, Sailor Scouts. These are the 2 that are going to be in the finals most weeks. And we had several weeks of none of them in the finals. Neither of those teams. It was mostly just your Nightmares and Limit Testers. So to in particular see a team that we expected to do well, we're disappointed by the fact that they might not, just based on the competitors that came through, and then overcame everyone else and is like, we can be better than you guys. Just give us a little bit of time. And again, they took this game. They were not handed anything here. They took absolutely everything. I'm so stoked to see them going into the finals for the next, this week's week number 8, the finals here. And as I mentioned too, Sailor Scouts are tied there in the 2nd place position, but in the 3rd and 4th slots with Gamer Snails. So these exact 2 teams, we've got these. I love the fact that we got these 2 sides of the Limit Testers and your Nightmares.
Ah.
Handfuls of good game.
You're just so overwhelmed.
Right? I know. Well, plus, I talk in my head. I'm Italian.
I love it.
It's
It's
That's what this one. That's what this one is. But
on the eve of my daughter's birthday.
I've done that a few times already tonight, and I've caught myself doing it. But I'm so excited that we've been able to witness this team really grow. Like, again, you don't expect it, but when it happens, it's just absolutely amazing. So Sailor Scouts are going to be making it into the finals tonight. We have 2 more games to witness. The second semifinals game and then the finals game. Obviously, one team that we know will be attending that, obviously, based on that last game of Sailor Scouts versus Your Nightmares, is going to be Sailor Scouts. We don't know who they're going to be going up against, but we do know one of who we will be seeing in the next game, as we've got Limit Testers playing. Oh, do we know?
Limit Testers and Moose Snails, right?
Is Limit Testers Andy? Oh, yeah, that would make sense, given the Gamer Snails made it through the quarterfinals there. So the bye given over to Your Nightmares and Limit Testers here this week, as there were only 6 teams that went up into the bracket. But, thank you guys are the best. But we do have production fed us the teams
like,
there.
hey.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we're on this. That's our job. So it is very exciting to see these guys move on, and to see potentially Your Nightmares feeling that dethronement, especially if Limit Testers are able to take the next game, because that is going to definitively remove Your Nightmares from the number 1 slot. No more will there be a tie if Limit Testers can take this next one. They will be broken and brought up to confidently first place. However, if Sailor Scouts are able to take this one, they might actually come into the first place slot, because it is a 25-point difference. It's so exciting. We got so much happening.
So much on the line.
There's so many points and things to be broken, and we've got one more week after this. So, this is the perfect time for all this craziness to be happening. I love it. All right. I feel like we should probably take a quick break after that one, huh?
If we must.
Yeah. I think we're gonna take a quick break. We'll pull the bracket up for you guys again, so you can kind of see what is going on and what the finals are going to be looking like. Don't go anywhere, though. We will be coming right back. Oh, hey, we're gonna take a look at the bracket right now. There it is. That's what we want. All right, Your Nightmares, Sailor Scouts just duked it out. Sailor Scouts taking home the big W. Limit Testers and Gamer Snails, 2 very familiar names if you have been keeping up with any of the previous weeks here in the Superhero Gamer Pro series. We'll be duking it out next, and I guarantee you today will be rife with exciting games. We've already witnessed 2 of them. We got 2 more in the books for tonight, and I can't give predictions anymore. It's past that point, I think.
No, it's too exhausting. We're still the moderators of the Solaris Revenge Alpha Male Jungler fan club pages on Facebook. You know what I mean? But it's gonna get a little less graphic here. Yeah, right. We're the co-creators of those pages. So Your Nightmares, come back next week. I know we'll see you. I know you'll come back with a vengeance. Sailor Scouts, congratulations on your meteoric win. And we will be back after a break, after just a quick little break here. Hopefully,
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this. Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra is going to compromise, why should you? You're right. Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra, with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle takes. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be Marines.
You can trade all the games, accessories, consoles, and tech you don't use anymore to get cash or store credit at GameStop. Check out the Trade Center on the GameStop app, visit GameStop.com/trade, or talk to a guest advisor at your local GameStop store to see how much your trades are worth.
For a long time, we had to prove ourselves. But we always knew what we were capable of. We knew when the time came, we would be ready for anything. Our numbers keep rising. And so do we.
Number 8 of the Supergirl Gamer Pro Series dedicated to women in gaming. But we have representation of women, some guys, as well as non-binary across these teams. That is one of the restrictions. Each team has to have at least 3 female or non-binary players. So thank you guys for updating us as well on the nomenclature and all that stuff for how we are to regard you. We appreciate that. It makes it a lot easier for us. And hey, it helps us with representing whatever your, whatever you decide to be, I suppose, or not decide. I guess that's definitely not.
Whatever you are.
Right there, you go. Whatever you are. I don't care. We love you all. We are going to be heading pretty quickly into Champion Select for game number 3 and the overall game number 2 of the semifinals today. We are looking at the Gamer Snails going up against Limit Testers. It looks like Limit Testers will be on the blue side. We have yet to see them today, though we did see Gamer Snails in our quarterfinals game. So Limit Testers on the blue side. In the top lane is Dang Meow, jungle Luck Manly, mid lane Dopamine, ADC Rio Clue, and support is Pistachio. And we have actually multiple names now that we got to remember, because Rio Clue is Pistachio's little snickerdoodle oodle. And Pistachio is, while previously Booty McCootie, still, maybe called that, is also Whittle McGriddle, a couple of nicknames upon the nicknames that we have there for the blue side.
Truly, truly incredible. On the red side, we have returning champion, Noisy, Hecarim main Ghost Tea, Kaori, the chicken, the bok of our dreams, Dolce in the ADC role, and Fiella as the support there. A truly incredible lineup that we have here.
A Shakespearean name.
Fiella. I like it. It's like very epic too. It's very much like Pride and Prejudice.
It could be Theo Ella. It could be Teo Ella. Also,
Teo
Ella.
Hey, how about we go by Ella? No, well, I don't know. Whatever you want to go by.
Just the. Just gonna call you the. Some of the bans are coming through, though. It looks like limit testers on the blue side have started with Darius and Shyvana. Gamer Snails do not want to see Luck Manley on clearly his favorite Graves jungle there. We've seen it many, many times. We've seen it work almost every single time. It has not worked once or twice, just once or twice, though, as limit testers have found a lot of success focusing on, as we've already mentioned, the top and the jungle, which have both been very, very prominent in this tournament so far. This is week 8. Limit testers wasn't there the first week. They had a week or two on break, but they have come back bigger, better, and stronger than ever, and with a few name changes as well to round it out and make things tough for us.
Yeah. We had Luckman, and then we had not Luckman, and now we have Luckmanly. Really solid gamer Snails. They know their stuff. Banning out that Luck there. I mean, we would have just been like, well, I guess we'll just sit this one out. We'll just put on some nice whale sounds. Yeah, exactly. I just would have been just turned off my webcam and been like, all right, you guys can listen to Enya for this song. Well, Dopamine solos, I'm just kidding. Good band there on the Warwick. That was it's such a good reliable as well. Lulu being banned out for Pistachio, that is extremely wise. You and I both.
That's alright. She'll just grab the Nami. A little wheel of the griddle and just grab the Nami and it's gonna work. However, Gamer Snails, we just saw go up against RR in game number 1, and we saw a Misfortune and a Lux in that bottom lane, and that ended up going very, very well. That lane, in particular in the overall game, was not the strongest of the game, but Thoella on the Lux was really, really impactful towards the later game as well. Not just with dealing damage and some good final sparks across the board to clean things up or to help out on some pressure, but also really getting a lot of those stuns down from across walls and being that little bit of invasive help later on in a potentially losing fight for the Gamer Snails. Came in clutch many, many times. Kaori, no big surprise, picking up that Galio. That must be one of their favorites as well, because we have seen it many, many times. The chicken suit, as you mentioned, backing away on who's definitely not Galio. The Misfortune will be the second lock in there for Gamer Snails. So the response to the Caitlyn, it was a Caitlyn and a Morgana on RR going up into the Misfortune and the Lux. We do know the Caitlyn has the range over the Misfortune, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the Morgana picked up again, but the Nami, I love it. There it is. I called it.
You called it.
Of course I did. I mean, that's the Booty Makuni. Come on, I love me a good Nami, and Pistachio has shown us how good a consistent Nami can be. And that's on top of having the Lulu banned out and away. And at the beginning of this series, Lulu is pretty big, but I have less faith in that Yordle than I do a lot of other supports. But Pistachio definitely showed us that she is something to be feared. But I think, seriously, the Nami is just as good, if not better, based on, the utility that is offered later on. The tidal wave is absolutely massive. Dopamine, while the Lux was banned out, that favorite of hers, she was able to find an Ahri, who we have seen many times as the backup, and actually very consistently the second selection for a lot of Lux mains, I have come to find.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they definitely, they're not necessarily super comparable in terms of kit, but Ahri is a pretty, a comparably hard counter to Galio. So, I mean, a solid pick as well on Dopamine's part, just to keep Kaori, keep them from making any sort of difference in the game, because, I mean, obviously Galio does need to thrive on making those roaming engages, and Dopamine can just follow them around the map in that case. I do hope this is a Morgana Misfortune Wombo combo mid. I'd bet my left ear on it. I feel like that's a pretty modest, since you have the Galio already. Yeah, the left one. I'm less fond of that one. It kind of sticks out at a weird angle. Banning away the Wukong from Dang is so good, because we have seen some incredible backline ults on that Wukong that have absolutely destroyed other teams. So Gamer Snails is making some extremely good bans, and that's going to allow us to maybe see a little bit of diversity. Getting rid of that Volibear for Noisy, I think that was a pretty obvious choice, especially considering that we've seen Volibear on Noisy do a fair amount of damage. I think that's probably safe.
Yeah, on Dang is we'll take that away, and it's always nice to see as well A player who is comfortable with if their team doesn't want potentially to go up against something, realizing, all right, even though it's one of the mains that I have used in this tournament in the past, I'm okay with it being banned out because I have a deep enough pool for my champions that I can pick up something that will offer just as much to the team, because that is something you don't want to go up against. And the Olaf as well has been picked up by previously Luckman, previously not Luckman. And clearly it has worked very, very well. Olaf actually, pretty consistent ban across a lot of not incredibly high elo, but, higher elo play, because Olaf is just always so consistent. The fact that his unstoppability to go through CC is massive into later game. And obviously his lifesteal, his whole kit is just pretty ridiculous. So a good selection, a lot of targeted bans. I'm really liking the bans across the board. And we've even come to the conclusion in the past that bans don't mean nearly as much for a lot of these teams, because we've been able to witness how deep those champion pools are. These are no kiddie pools, folks. This is not an inflatable in the backyard, your dog actually ripped a hole in the side because it just walks by it. Like, this is an in-ground, no kids allowed kind of 10 to 10 footer pool. And we can see that now as we get the set being picked up here. We've seen played actually by Dang in the past and has worked very, very well. And the Vi going on to Ghosty, and Noisy is going to stick with. They saw that Urgot work really well for Sailor Scouts just a little bit ago on Prothean. Noisy's like, yeah, I can manage that, no problems here. So very aggressive teams from everyone. How do you feel about these compositions and how they go into each other right now, Kari?
I feel pretty good. I think Mercenails has picked to survivability, with their sort of more leaning towards the tanky comps that can kind of 1v2. There's some very safe and good picks here. Champs that can be there to aid other champions should they need it. Lots and lots of good CC as well coming from the game Mercenails. I'm surprised that Ghost T didn't pick up that Hecarim, but that kind of just goes to show how confident Ghost T is. As a jungler, they've only played the Hecarim, 2 or 3, I think 2 times thus far, and they've done great success with Vi before, so not great success, of course. In the Vi games that they have played, they haven't managed to capture a win, but Vi's a really reliable, good champion, especially going into such a volatile team like Limit Testers, a team that's proven themselves. Taking away that Mordekaiser, great ban, forcing the Urgot. I think that Dang has been also kind of shaky okay with set, sort of like Ghosty's been shaky okay with Vi, so there's a little bit of a gap there as well. I think Game Mercenails, correct me if I'm wrong, but it definitely seems like Mercenails is looking to survive into a later game, or at least retain control of the map here. Gonna be a little bit difficult if they can't keep track of Luckman on that Hecarim, so I think that's one very solid win condition, is to make sure that Luckman doesn't get to run the rigmarole around the map, and they can keep track of that. So lots and lots of good wards coming out of Game Mercenails is what I would hope would be part of their strategy, because you never know, some teams just get so flustered and so tilted that they forget to do some of the most basic warding, get caught out and get wiped. And I'm really excited to see the contrast of Luckman's Hecarim game versus Ghost T's as well. It'll be nice to see almost a very direct comparison to their different playstyles. So I think that'll be super interesting. And then Ghost T on the Vi, see how they compare to Alpha Male Jungler's Vi. We have some really, really great, different players playing some of the same champions. I think that we're going to have a really interesting game here, but I do think the game Mercenails has a safer comp.
Yeah, knowing how Limit Testers play, I would have slightly leaned towards their composition. But I do like, the aggression, the mobility, all of that on the side of Game Mercenails. And I like the Urgot, obviously, into the set. That's a great matchup. I like Dopamini, though, on the Ahri, into Kaori on the Galio there. But it does depend on how they take it in the late game and how quickly it gets to that point as well, because we've seen in the past some of these guys get camped out pretty hard, or the jungler does decide to put a lot of focus towards the bottom side if they think that they have a reliable enough top laner to really defend themselves and to be proactive against potential ganks. You could get a lot of heavy sway in this bottom lane. Ryoklu has been absolutely phenomenal in this ADC role. Pistachio, really a huge contender in terms of all of the supports that we've seen across the board. If she gets either the Nami or the Lulu, it's almost a GG for that lane. So while I really like Gamer Snail's roster or setup right now with their composition that they've selected, I feel a little bit more consistency in Limit Tester's current setup. But that means absolutely nothing because we have seen some crazy upsets already here today that we were certainly not expecting. So it all comes down to the mental and how these guys actually execute a lot of these fights.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to come down to mental, and I think that you are right in terms of like consistency and things that we've seen them play before. Limit Testers is definitely in a more comfortable corner as far as that is concerned. I do think that Dang has had, for the most part, a pretty mediocre performance on set, but it's still consistent. It is still, you know, a reliable pick for them. And I guess we'll just have to kind of see.
Though. I'm pretty confident that that is a losing lane for Dang. So that's going to be a little bit of, you know, additional challenge. We can even see there the pressure and the priority that Noisy has found on that Urgot, right?
Yeah, I mean, do see Ghosty just coming on the back with Noisy. Kind of seeing what's going on, maybe making sure that Luckman can't get the up and up on a lane that's pushed in so quickly, so early. I think that's a solid little peek in there, and just adding a ward as well for some added protection for Noisy. And I mean, not a wrong instinct because Luckman is very close. There's some very good trades here on the side of Dolce and Thiela. I'm actually extremely impressed with Thiela's performance in the last game. Had some really solid, just always in position, always making sure that they were available on that Lux to do that extra damage, just to push the other team to either retreat or commit to something that they can't win. So a very solid performance on this new support side that we've never seen before, as well as this ADC. We have also not seen this ADC either, Dolce. So Pistachios definitely has their
earlier
work cut
today,
out for them here. Yeah,
we saw Dolce on the Misfortune did very well, and you know, the Lux was banned out from Dopamini really there. So I mean, Noella recognized was an acknowledgement of, all right, I'm not going to get my Lux in the bottom lane, mostly because, you know, the Lux on Dopamini in the mid lane as that aggressor is definitely going to be more impactful than the Lux on the bottom side, because you could easily go with somebody like Morgana, who offers a little bit more utility, especially going into the Nami, having the Black Shield available to prevent the bubble from hitting, as we just saw there a moment ago. Pistachio trying to throw the bubble onto Dolce, and the Black Shield absorbing that one up. Super useful. So I do have a lot of confidence in the Gamer Snail's bottom side here. It's just hard to do when we've seen Pistachio do so incredibly well on this Nami. And those tidal waves, that cooldown becomes so low later in the game that whether you're going for objectives, whether you're engaging, whether you're disengaging, it really doesn't matter what part of the game you are involved in, any sort of team fight or pressure in a lane or around an objective. A Nami's tidal wave is going to be absolutely massive and really pivotal in a lot of these fights, and we have certainly seen it in the past.
Jolly, would you say that it turns the tide of the game? I hate myself.
You're gonna have to. I'm gonna go.
No, I'll just see myself.
You got the rest.
Yeah,
you got the rest on your own. Right? I'm gonna leave.
A truly proportionate punishment to a truly awful pun. I accept my punishment. It's a little harsh, but you know, I think that's what I deserve, especially after disconnecting that one game. So, Dave's actually doing a really good job of self-preservation, but the poor Kaori getting a second Ahri lane, can you imagine how frustrating that is for them? Just like how unbelievably frustrating to get a very hard counter in your second lane in a row. I think Kaori, though, struggled a little bit in their game last game, and is probably pretty determined to at least not have as hard of a game as they had last time. They had definitely later in the game started showing up for it, but Dopamini is not somebody that you want to feed, nor let them get the upper hand. So, you know, you just kind of keep it slow, keep it safe, and try to just, like, you know, mind your business and wait until Ghosty can pop in and give you a little bit of an edge there. So we do have some recalls happening here in mid. Dopamini and Luckman is just passing by to say hello.
And that's the good pressure Dopamini was looking forward to as well early on going into this Galio. As the Ahri here, lots of pressure up on CS, and also really good presence here from Luck Manly, as we've seen kind of hesitating and focusing around the mid lane, at least in terms of just making sure that everything is nice and safe, because a lot of pressure onto Dopamini can spell bad things for the Limit Testers if Kaori is able to get ahead, especially with that global ultimate and the amount of pressure that they will be able to offer with the front line coming up from Gamer Snails. That's the biggest part of that late game, is going to be their front line. Their engagement will be absolutely massive later on, especially if Limit Testers falls behind in some of their front line aspects. Luck Manley falling behind is a little rough to see. It's hard to imagine because have I seen it before? Maybe once or twice. But it looks like Dang is going to be jumped on here. Luck Manley dives in for the follow-up. A flash out from Noisy, the ultimate to follow from Luck Manley. Hitting that level 6 before Ghosty was able to re-engage on that one. So a death going over at first blood to Limit Testers and a flash out from Noisy as well. 2 ultimates down, though, from the top side of Limit Testers. And in the meantime, Ghosty's like, all right, well, I'll at least consolidate for a little bit of that. Noisy, you head back up to your lane when you're ready. I'm going to pick up at this Ghost Drake. Bottom lane is going to do everything possible to just try to command the attention of these bottom laners. And success is the name of the game here for Gamer Snails as they find themselves evening things out. At least a little bit to start.
It looks like Limit Testers is planning to cash in on what is an extremely aggressive comp, and I think that Gamer Snails is hoping that they'll be able to, again, maintain control of the map and be able to at least control enough to win some team fights. Limit Testers does not have a defensive comp at all. They have actually very little recourse, so if Gamer Snails, if they start to get any serious damage on their side, Limit Testers is not going to be sitting pretty, and that's going to be the key. The win condition for Gamer Snails is to take advantage of that aggressive engage and make sure that they control these team fights without getting wiped out first. So the important part for Gamer Snails, at least in my opinion, let me know if you agree there, is for Gamer Snails to, feed their ADC, make sure that they can get some good damage, and keep control of Limit Testers. Because what happens is that Limit Testers, if they continue to, farm kills, if they continue to get successful camps in their jungler, they can just outscale and wipe them out. So.
And yeah, and going back to some of the things we were recommending earlier, getting good. Will help them as well. We touched on that.
Limit Testers.
Touched on it. It seems so obvious, but so many people they're like, why would I get good though?
Yeah, like warping, it's like not so obvious. Like, or getting boots, like some people just don't forget to do it, like getting good. It's
I always forget I even have a D and an F key. Like, what are summoner spells? No, I'm not that bad. I'm actually master in ARAMs, so I have a lot to say about team fights.
I mean, if we are talking, we've played ARAMs together, and I just, very good. I've seen I think like 4 either official or unofficial pentakills on you in all the ARAMs we've played, and we've known each other for like 2 months.
So I play a lot of ARAMs. That's why I'm so good with team fights, or at least in understanding and trying to break down what went right, what went wrong, kind of things. I may get an ability wrong, but I can in long word version tell you what happened. There you go, exactly. And that has been a huge part of this tournament, like a massive part of this tournament, especially with the compositions that we've had going into this. And tonight, I love the differences in the champions that we've seen across the board. Doesn't matter on what team, as we have seen, one of these teams returning now, as Gamer Snails earlier went up against Ara, have selected a few of the same champions, but just a lot more variety, a lot less of an attempt to ban out somebody's pool, and really just saying, okay, let's take everyone's main that they have done incredibly well with. Let's ban that away. We know that they have secondaries, but we can formulate a composition around those secondaries. And so acknowledgement of how deep these champion pools are for these players and how it's not possible to ban them out. And it's more worthwhile, instead of trying to ban one person away from a couple, to just spread those bans across to what works really, really well, either against you or for that particular team. And these teams have learned enough throughout this tournament that is absolutely the direction they're going. The previous weeks, I've literally said the bans really don't matter. And at that point, they didn't really. It was more the picks and the composition that you decided to go in with. But now they have figured out how to make those bans really, really worthwhile and pivotal by spreading them across the enemy team, instead of saying, this one guy's really good. Yeah, that one guy's going to be really good. Like, trust me, taking away their champs is not going to remove their ability to play very well. And even though the attempt is usually there for those kinds of players, that's how good these guys are. And I love, not only, I guess the acknowledgement behind that is to say that these players have learned that on their own. They've discovered that just by playing continuously throughout the past several weeks. I'm sure watching each other's games, maybe even doing a little bit of research on op.gg maybe. So it is nice to see the growth, not just in the gameplay style and within the players themselves, but also in opposition to these teams that have been recurring every single week that we consistently see play through. And it's just exciting to see that kind of commitment put into this tournament that means a lot to us and that clearly we're able to see means a lot to these players. But I'm not sure exactly what the pause is. Hopefully, I always say I hope it's not somebody having internet issues because that's just the worst. I'm hoping somebody just needs to unplug and replug a mouse in, or their cat unplug their monitor or something like that at a really bad time.
That's always the hope.
Right. Fingers crossed that nobody is hurting in their soul because their internet is just unreliable. We know how that feels for you. But this game is going quite well now for both teams. Really not a huge gold disparity across the board. Not a huge kill disparity, and less jungle action probably than we've seen in the past. So going back to what we were talking about and what the ideas behind these compositions were, in particular limit testers, as you were saying, really heavy hard hitters, maybe looking a little less to the late game than game Mercenails were, while still viable late game, not as prepared for the late game as game Mercenails might be.
Yeah.
Because we kind of hit, this is a slower game than we are used to seeing. What do limit testers need to do? What area do you think they need to focus on to get that really quick push before it gets into late game and before they fall behind potentially?
I think they just need to get some really, really good team fights going. So I think that being at every objective to be able to answer to what Gamer Snails wants and being able to kind of trap them into these engages where they're extremely aggressive. I mean, Gamer Snails comp needs some time to scale. They need some time to build armor. They need some time to build items before they can really effectively get a handle on limit testers. So what limit testers needs to do is they need to bait them into some early engages and put them so far behind that they won't be able to catch up. That's kind of the key of this comp there. A lot of the time, this is what limit testers goes for, just depending on who they're going against. And so I think that Mercenails just need to exercise some very, very serious patience. The patience discipline that we really, really want to see, especially from teams like this that have a really, really good early game where they do exercise that patience and discipline, and then they start to fall for the tricks. They start to make engages that they can't answer for. They start to fight over sometimes nothing. Gamer Snails has, not consistently, but has on occasion disappointed us by fighting over nothing. But there's no objective on the map. There's nothing happening except an ARAM breaking out in mid. And that's the kind of character growth that we're looking for. You and I don't want to see any more of that. We want to see more purposeful engages or retaliation. Those are the only two things that Gamer Snails need from this comp. And they, if given the chance to build the correct items and to scale appropriately and give away as little as possible, Gamer Snails can actually viably win this game against the best team in the tournament right now. So, I mean, if they just take that time to exercise some very serious patience and, like I said, discipline, I think that, especially for a lot of people who play League of Legends, the greatest thing that you need to surmount is your own impatience and your own desire to have satisfaction where it may not actually even be. A lot of people have difficulty not, making that gank or not going.
You mean I shouldn't chase the Singed?
Oh, I love chasing Singed is the most rewarding thing you can do in this game. It always ends up with you and your whole team being dead. Yeah, that was the first meme I ever heard of, like season 2, don't chase the Singed, and you're like, all right, don't chase the Singed, got it. And you never forget. Even though he never gets played anymore, you see him in the game and you're like, don't chase the Singed. Like,
yeah, it's true. It's always the good rule to go by. Oh my goodness, some flashes out, and Cowrie is going to lose their life right there. 2-1 now, limit testers finding a few advantages, including Shelly up here in the Baron pit, as it looks like Noisy is doing a bit of tower hugging, just trying to push back some pressure in his lane here. Summoner spell and a death down in the mid lane. That's going to give Dopamine even more of an advantage there.
Woof. It's rough because, again, like I said, Dopamine is a hard counter to Kaori. So, it sucks.
That was like
really
an agreement.
sucks.
We're not going to hit each other until every Raptor is dead in this shit right now.
No,
like,
funny.
my Raptors, then we fight.
Right? What about the chicken nuggets? Like, it's just... Yeah, this agreement that was like, we'll fight over this thing, and then it's, oh, shit.
What a hero's entrance there, but the showstopper and the taunt to follow it up. Their Dang is going to get a kill. Noisy throws down the ultimate in response, picks up a double buff in the meantime, and Dopamine's going to figure out that charm here. The passive doing a lot of damage from Noisy onto Dang. Oh my gosh, one more auto would have done Dang in, but a flash over the wall picks up the kill onto Noisy.
would have done dang in.
I know, I like that one. That felt good.
I'm like, you know, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the exact kind of engage that I was talking about. Just don't go, just don't get noisy, just go back to your lane and mind your own gosh diddly darn business. You could have picked up, you know, another 20 CS on Dang while you were up there, and now you are dead, and Dang is back in lane catching up in farm with a 150 gold bounty. There are just things you can do to mitigate the damage, and resources are so big for Gamer Snails right now. They have to build these particular items to mitigate the limit tester's sheer amount of aggression and damage. And luckily, you know what? It's not too bad right now, especially because all of the kills are on Dang, who's a little bit behind in farm and is not necessarily an essential win condition. Can become, I mean, you and I have both seen sets like scale to the point of just being so sad all the time. Like, it just becomes frustrating team fighting against a really good, well-positioned set. So, you know, it could happen. It happens with everybody. But once again, we're seeing a trend towards this Hecarim on Luckman still being here when they need to be. It does unfortunately look like Kaori is having a bit of another skirmish here against Dopamine. They're having a bit of a rough lane, but they did see Dang coming down and backed off appropriately. So good on
Shelly,
Kaori.
though.
Oh,
That should be a first tower. They're going to be able to at least, it might take one more auto, but Shelly will provide at least the pressure that they need, and the tower aggro here are at a couple autos. It looks like the Black Shield is going down onto Ghosty after the exhaust was expended. The exhaust in response onto Ryoklu, who's going to take a little bit of creep damage, but not much more than that. Two remaining members of Limit Testers are relatively low here in the bottom lane, but there's a lot of pressure and a second charge getting off of Shelly, just over 100 health, staying alive through almost the entirety of that. The charm on to Noisy, who just tried to save a little bit of the tower's health. Luck family picking up the kill there, 2-3-0, and now a lot of damage onto this bottom tower. We still have 2.5 minutes until turret plating is down, and that is 2 full turrets the Limit Testers have already picked up, and that is where they are finding a massive gold disparity towards the Gamer Snails now. Even though they might be falling behind in CS in some lanes, they have regained it back in many others that they were behind in earlier, as we can see the top side now catching up closely, and also in the jungle there, getting very far ahead. So a lot of gold is going to help the Limit Testers, and these are the guys that know how, the guys and the gals and the theys and the thems, who know how to use that money very, very well on this team. No kills though in the bottom lane is still kind of promising here for Gamer Snails. Still a lot of potential.
Yeah. We have one of those nice, chill, you know, like I've said before, humble farmers just trying to find their way. We do have Dolce there with 69 farm. Nice. You got Ryoklu there, just a little bit further ahead. Noisy taking out Dang there with Ghosty.
Dang, really, I mean, Dang trying, and just once again, the opposing team, or the top laner, Noisy, again in particular, being like, I don't need you, Ghosty, thank you, I appreciate it. And Dopamine coming down saying, I will leave with something from this lane. Gamer Snails are going to find a little bit of solace here towards the top side, as Ghosty and Noisy pick up a few plates for themselves, still sitting at 0 turrets. But in the meantime, Dopamine and Luck Stanley are going to find themselves their first dragon of the game. It will be Infernal, which will certainly help them with this early push they have been going for. And I do want to also point out real quick, the vision, while it has improved here for Gamer Snails now on their own side, Limit Testers has consistently been putting in even slightly deep, just, you know, barely towards the beginning of jungle, but also very deep in jungle there for Limit Testers to be able to possibly make a heavy, deep engage safely. And that's one of their big priorities, to keep things safe. Dang, finding a good pull. Ghosty taking full front to the Haymaker, and that was a tower shot committed and readied before the Haymaker, or before the Haymaker popped through. It looks like Noisy has the opportunity to use the ultimate once again if enough damage can be landed here onto Dang. No flash out available and no showstopper from Dang in response. And there's the tidal wave that we love oh so much. Noisy on the top side gets found out. On the bottom side, though, Ryoklu finds a life by taking down Theorella. Noisy, so close. Thought I got away from this one. Yes, a quick flash away. I think that was more of a reflex flash, because Dopamine certainly has the range to deal that much damage to Noisy, who ends up going down before being able to use that ultimate.
Yeah, an unfortunate, it looks like Kaori is actually in a little bit of trouble here with Luckman and Pistachio. Thought they were, flashes
the
out.
Ultimate stopped there as well, but the pickup doesn't matter. flash expended. Hero's entrance, while it was interrupted, was not necessary thanks to the appearance of Ghosty. What good timing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just happened to be there, you know, just to say hello. Noisy picking up Ryoklu here. Dolce really wants that kill and manages to snag that out from under him as well. Ryoklu's first death. Very impressive performance by a very patient ADC as well. Getting caught out just a little bit. As things kind of get a little bit messy in all of these lanes, the pressure's a little bit skiwampus. I can see why Ryoklu would kind of get lost in the chaos there, especially if you're watching other parts of the map as the action unfolds. It is getting a little messy for the Mercenails. It's slowly spiraling out of control, but we do have a little bit of pressure on bot lane there with Noella, Dolce, and Noisy. Just trying to make things work here, and casually Luck Manly's just farming up a storm, but Dang has managed to take out the top tower and goes straight for Kaori.
There it is.
No
The
match.
showstopper will provide enough. The Haymaker should be up soon as well, which provides a very decent amount of damage here for Dang. So much already onto Ghosty. Ghosty going in at almost full health, realizing very quickly this is not a fight I will win. Unfortunately, Kaori was not able to do enough damage to Dang before going down to actually make up for that. Now Dang is going to find himself in a position to steal a little bit of this jungle, sitting with a double buff now after putting a lot of pressure on that top lane. The Limit Testers are feeling pretty good in more lanes than just that top, as we can see Dopamini sitting at 3-0-2. Not quite on the Lux, but I would say probably a close second favorite. And there it is to follow it up. Dopamini going in on Noisy, landing the charm. Immediately using there the ultimate to follow things up. But the ultimate from Noisy coming through. While you might have a nice heart falls, Fear Beyond Death will take you down. Get over here. Not enough. Luck Manly. It's so quick. The retaliation from this game alone is kind of insane, actually. We haven't seen much of this back and forth last so long. Somebody so quickly going down. There we go. Assault and battery now coming out from Ghosty, who ends up going right into a trap and getting hit. Few headshots from Ryoklu. Now the stun onto Kaori as Pistachio finds a great Nami bubble. An attempt at picking up the kill with the Haymaker, but Ryoklu finds a headshot early enough to take the kill. A heal expended there. More for utility and a little bit of speed to reach that kill. And now Limit Testers are working on yet another tower. We're going to make it rain there from Misfortune on the backside, but it will not be enough. Bullet time expended from Dolce.
Yeah, things are starting to spiral out of control. Now it's less slow. Noisy coming out here on the backside, trying to, just give it a little bit of a look, but not experiencing any serious. Oh, nope, just kidding. Luckman catches. Oh no!
That'll do it.
Yeah,
Charm is quite effective, as we know. It might not be a Lux stun again, but it will pull you back into the fight, and the survivability just hasn't quite gotten there for Gamers Nails. They have a lot of survivability potentially with Noisy and with Kaori. Ghosty, just the ability more to disengage if necessary, as well as getting a lot of damage down early on. But the set is just so ridiculous at this point right now. Able to deal so much damage and regain back so much health very, very quickly. And the displacement as well with the showstopper can be huge if you get it lined up correctly. And now look at this, Dang, literally sitting in this bush, well aware, as they've got a vision ward, well aware that there is a ward and that Gamer Snails can see him, but that's not going to be enough to send him home. The recall was a fake one. Unstoppability as the ultimate coming out from the Hecarim. There is the showstopper heading towards Gamer Snails' side. So much damage going down onto Kaori and Noella, who end up going down in that fight. A couple of ultimates expended, but nothing too much here for the Limit Testers. Ace in the hole is going to deal a good chunk of damage on Dolce, and Shelly is going to, once again, get a second charge. Every single time Rift Herald has been picked up here, both times by Limit Testers, they managed to pick up 2 towers from that. Ghosty taking so much damage. The Tidal Wave is going to pick up the kill there on the backside from Ryoklu, and Luck Manly finds another kill as a 3-4-0 now at this point. 3-0 towards the end of that fight goes in favor of Limit Testers, and they are looking to close it out in under 20 minutes. Another pickup means the only member left alive is Kaori, and can they go up against 5 members here of Limit Testers? It may be too much. The charm, the taunt going through. Dopamini will be the target here, but again, 5 members, the exhaust to follow it up, and the ace going over to Ryoklu. Limit Testers picking up everything and not allowing Gamer Gamer Snails to go home with much more than a gray screen.
We tried so hard to hype them up. We really did. We were like sending them all the vibes in the universe, trying to set up Gamer Snails for anything more than what just happened. Unfortunately, the fastest game in this entire tournament so far, unfortunately, is now behind us.
Just under 20 minutes, right?
Yep, just 19 minutes and I think 30 seconds.
A few seconds there.
So yeah, just an unfortunate series of events on the side of Gamer Snails. However, proud of them for making it here to the semifinals against Ara. They did a great job and showed some serious maturity. Like we have said before, Snails, work on your late game, and you will be rewarded. Just give it a little bit more time. Be patient with yourself. Study how other teams pivot into that late game, and ask yourselves why your comp is the way it is and how it's going to transition into late game. Because there was a lot of stuff that didn't need to happen there, that you could have just stayed cool, tried to mind your own business and farm. But unfortunately, limit testers, they're so aggressive, and the aggression, I'm not even sure if patience or discipline really would have seen them out of this anyway.
Right.
So good try.
It was a really good fight. Limit testers certainly have hit their stride here. I mean, that is to be expected at this point in the series. They were one of the ones, like I said, week number 2 came in and kind of came out of nowhere, blowing up the idea that we had that Sailor Scouts and Gamer Snails were going to be the two that were consistently fighting and contending for the first and second place slots. No, Limit Testers and Your Nightmares came in. Your Nightmares we just saw get knocked down, though, a little bit ago by Sailor Scouts, the first game of the semifinals, leading us into the second game of the semifinals, where we just watched Limit Testers take down Gamer Snails. Gamer Snails still picking up a good chunk of points here to go into week number 9, which will be the final week of the standard tournament series, going into the finals at the beginning of October there. Again, $12,500 is going to be distributed between the top 2 teams there for all 5 players, or 10 players total across those 2 teams, and 4 teams will be able to contend for those 1 and 2 place slots for the final tournament. So lots of exciting stuff. This is a fantastic way to set up the final week for next week, but we have one more game, and it is not just any game. It is going to be a spectacular game, as we are going to be having the Sailor Scouts, who just took down Your Nightmares by playing out of their minds. They're going to be going up against Limit Testers, and I would not be surprised if Sailor Scouts found a way to take this one home this week.
They're revising, they're adapting, they're doing everything they can to show that they are competitive in this game. I know I've said this before, but it is literally anybody's game on this next one. Limit Testers definitely put on an extremely intimidating performance in that last game. So, come in with a little bit of humility, a good strat, and an incredible comp, and you might stand a chance. And I think that, especially after their performance against Your Nightmares, a little more than a chance. I think that you and I both have some very serious hopes placed into this. Our little underdogs, the Sailor Scouts, will come out victorious.
Yeah, I'm excited to see mostly that bottom lane, as we've seen the Nami, the Caitlyn, the Ashe, a lot of really the Leona earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of really exciting stuff happening down there. We are going to take another quick break, though, another quick countdown timer. Now's the time for you guys to, go use the bathroom, go fill up your water or your energy drinks. Hopefully you're drinking water. Always have both available, Always have both. Stay hydrated. There you go. Stay hydrated, folks, along with the caffeine. We are going to take, like I said, a quick break. We're going to be going into the finals game. Sailor Scouts up against Limit Testers for the finals in week number 8 out of 9 of the Supergirl Gamer Pro Series. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this.
Brief.
Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't gonna compromise, why should you?
You're right.
Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
It's not just the ships, the armor, or the aircraft. It's something more. It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers a nation's call. Battles won.
Burning down the walls, we let the monsters in. And now we're burning down the halls. No, we can't let them win. There's an evil inside that is lurking way down below. And if I can't hold my breath, then I'm bound to become hollow. Can you say that I disappeared? Can you say that I wasn't there for you when you went into hiding on the front steps of your porch? And I reflected on the memories, but I put out that torch. Hey! But I put out that torch. You make me feel like home.
Thanks for sticking around, everyone. We are back. Hello. We are back. Week number
Not
8
holding a
Super
notebook.
Pro Gamer Pro Series. We are in the finals now. We've seen 3 spectacular games. We saw Ara go up into game Snails. Snails taking home that win. There's the bracket. Thank you very much. We watched next Your Nightmares going up against Sailor Scouts, who managed to take that one home, making it into the finals. The last game we just watched was Limit Testers going into Gamer Snails. Gamer Snails fighting their damnedest, but Limit Testers taking home that one pretty decisively in a less than 20-minute game. So these finals will be Limit Testers going into Sailor Scouts. A little bit different than what we're used to. Last week we saw Your Nightmares going into Sailor Scouts here. So these guys have been doing incredible. Oh no, Your Nightmares and Limit Testers it was again last week, which we have seen many times. But this is reminiscent of 2 weeks ago as we had Limit Testers going up into the Sailor Scouts. Limit Testers finding themselves a 24-minute win on that one. So they have been taking home victory after victory. These guys now, at least with the point distribution that we currently have, due to the fact that Your Nightmares was knocked out earlier on in the semifinals, Limit Testers already has taken the points to be in definitively first place, but Sailor Scouts might be breaking a tie or will be breaking a tie of their own and might even be getting up higher into the bracket than we initially expected here, as they are currently tied for third and fourth place or second in the overall at just 25 points under both Limit Testers and Your Nightmare. So very, very exciting matchup that we have going into this one, and really just a round of incredibly exciting games here tonight. What do you think, Kari?
I think that we've seen an upset that we weren't expecting. You and I kind of went into this day thinking, the status quo is starting to settle in. And that is what happens every single time you and I are like, oh, we've seen this game before. We have a decent idea of how this is going to happen. And then we had that Sailor Scouts Your Nightmares game. and something just broke in the Sailor Scouts. They decided that they love, friendship, all that good stuff, the power of the moon was gonna all come together in one incredible performance that really like knocked the pants off of us. And then Limit Testers, more of the same incredible performance there that we've come to expect from them. And I'm actually so stoked to see how this one goes, especially because the Sailor Scouts have had just the most, like, they have beat your nightmares once more in week 5, and it just seems like they have steadily climbed their way up and done everything that they could to improve, to learn from previous games, and understand the other team's strategies. And I'm just so impressed. Again, we've already gushed enough. They already know,
I know,
that
right?
we're so proud of their growth, but they are, like we've said before, the most consistent team. And it's turning out that same consistent team roster is paying off amazingly for them. Like, they have had the most consistent team roster we've seen in this entire game, and they're just starting to play off of each other's strengths. They're learning how to they're just learning each other's team comps through how they've been playing together the entire time. They haven't had a single roster change as far as I'm aware, and it's just been kind of incredible watching them make it happen. So I'm looking, and I don't see. There has been a bit of a change with Pan and Baysuri, but other than that, it seems like those are the only two serious roster change, or the only roster change we've really seen this entire tournament. So
and even then, that wasn't right at the beginning. This is the same roster that we saw in the very first week. So while there was a sub, or I think it was just maybe the one sub or two that we had seen week 3 or 4, aside from that, these guys have, had by far the most consistent roster, haven't missed a week, if I'm not mistaken. I think that they have managed to get through every single time and have performed very, very well each time. But like you mentioned, I think part of the reason we're able to gush so much about this team in particular is we had high expectations. We saw the entry of Limit Testers Your Nightmares week 2. Our expectations instantly, they had to drop. It hurts to say that they dropped a little bit for this team, but for the victors of the first week, going into the finals, Gamers, Snails, and Sailor Scouts picking up the win there, we saw just a little bit of an outclass from Your Nightmares and Limit Testers. But this team now has grown so much that they're outclassing these teams that in week 2 and in week 3 were pretty much dominating them. And they've taken and adopted many of these winning strategies from teams like Your Nightmares and Limit Testers, and are utilizing them now potentially better than those that they learned it from, or that they first really experienced the negative side of. So using a lot of distractions, a lot of split pushing, a lot of aggro around some not as impactful, a little bit later game objectives that they use to put a lot of pressure within the base. And we saw in the game that they won earlier, going up against Your Nightmares, just a spectacular amount of pressure that the team was offering. And the communication and vision have been two huge parts that we have touched on since the very, very beginning. And they are doing a great job. We now, I believe, have Champ Select ready, so we are going to be hopping into that and engaging in a very, very exciting second to last final, at least for the standard tournament series. I say that with so much dismay, because it has been such an enjoyable time being able to watch these players grow and being able to, kind of acknowledge some of not just the growth, but also some of the faults that we now are able to say has been worked upon immensely. Just so much spectacular play, and everyone has been also, as individual players, as viewers, everybody has been really just so incredible in this whole event that we've had for Super Pro Gamer Pro. So that aside, I guess, enough gushing. I suppose we've kind of made our point on that one. The first ban from Limit Testers, who are sitting on the blue side for tonight, is going to be Morgana. We don't want anything like that there from Neki Lime, as we have seen it work incredibly well in the past. The Leona might be something they have forgotten about, as that was the one that won the game for Sailor Scouts just a little bit ago, before the last semifinals game we just watched, working very, very well into the Kaisa Nautilus, which was a pretty victorious lane, actually, if I'm not mistaken, with a lot of roam from the knot working out very, very well. So I think Sailor Scouts have a lot of potential pressure in the bottom lane. things are going to start rounding out as Kane is going to be removed here. That is a favorite of Goldflower. We've seen many, many times, and I think only fail possibly once towards the beginning, but has worked very well every other time. And Luck Manley's favorite jungle for sure has been the Graves. No surprise, Sailor Scouts. Thank goodness. Thank goodness we don't have to get on anyone about not banning out that Lux. Away from Dopamini, very big favorite. The Ahri will likely be pickup there, though, in response, as we've seen that used many, many times.
Yeah, lots of bans to Goldflower. I'm a bit surprised by the Morgana, but we have seen some extremely clutch Neki line plays, especially involving Zanya's Hourglass on that player. So, I mean, not a bad ban. I'm surprised by the priority there, and I appreciate the respect ban to a support. Of course, we already talked about the Lux, but the Hecarim going away from Goldflower. I wonder if there's going to be more bans to Goldflower. Goldflower has never lost a game on that Hecarim, so I mean, why not take that away? And Luckman definitely shows some very serious prowess with Graves. We got the same things to say here. I'm really
what
really
are you adding
excited
to this conversation?
Yeah, I don't know. I drank too much coffee and now my brain is made of soup. But it's good. It's like these are all like we would be so mad if the Hecarim, if the Kayn, if the Lulu, like now you and I have seen so many clutch choices in so many of these players now that there are certain ones, specifically the Hecarim, the Kayn. We have, I don't necessarily, I don't think that you should not give the Lulu to Pistachio, but maybe that's because I'm a huge Booty Makudi fan. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's biased. I'm just like, just give Pistachio what they want.
You've also seen the Nami, that
and the
just like with the Lux banned out, the classic pick in response is the Ahri. Similar to that with the Lulu banned out, almost every time that main Lulu player has been able to pick up the Nami, do incredibly well. And in my opinion, I actually prefer to ban out the Nami, not having that tidal wave really, really big utility. Though the wild growth from the Lulu does make sense to ban out because of how aggressive a lot of these teams are, because things like the Hecarim have been selected, like the Kayn, like the really, really heavy engagers. So it is always good to keep that banned out. And it looks like Sailor Scouts are going to keep things pretty standard, as we saw earlier against your Nightmares, the Ashe Leona bottom lane. I mentioned the Leona on Neki Lime going very, very well for Sailor Scouts, so that is going to be pick up. And Thresh Caitlyn, a great combination there. And I, don't want to say I called it, but Dopamini there selecting the Ahri without the Lux. That is the standard pickup as we have seen in the past, and Dopamini does a spectacular job on that Ahri.
Yeah, I think that Pan probably doesn't have a lot of. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen them play a huge range of champions. Maybe an Orianna seems to be one of the ones that they are especially fond of. But the Ahri is definitely usually what they go for. In most of these circumstances. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what Pan actually ends up going for. I'd love to. Oh, the Orianna.
It is,
That's a good solid pick with a similar kit.
And Pan's favorite pick might actually be the Ahri, to be honest. At least just based on previous games. Pan does a spectacular job on the Ahri. That charm is really so effective with the compositions and the styles that these teams have been going for with the lineup. So I always love to see that nice, easy engage and the potential for a lot of damage and follow-ups there on the Ahri. But I also love the Orianna, who is, just does a spectacular amount of damage and also offers a ton of utility. The Shockwave, there being massive early game, late game, doesn't really matter. Once you hit 6, you got to watch out for that. The last bans are going to round out a few junglers and some top laners there. I was actually going to say the Jarvan for limit testers, as I was saying initially, might be spectacular, but Jarvan is always, and I'm talking about those really heavy engagers, those jump in and dedicate everything to the fights kinds of junglers. Jarvan is always up there and is almost always viable as well. Urgot is going to round out limit testers' second ban phase. And then the Mordekaiser, again, no surprise to keep that away from Dang. Also a pick up from Prothean, who we've seen in the past. And same thing, the Wukong there, a special of Dang that we have seen work very, very well previously. So Sailor Scouts Limit Testers both putting a lot of focus on trying to get counter picks potentially by saving the top and the jungle on both sides. It's much easier to risk picking, a Caitlyn first, for instance, and then being able to just allow the counters to flow from there. And there it is, the Fallen Bear that we love so much. Prothean's not going to get it this time. Dang and Prothean both ridiculously good with this new reworked bear. The set is going to be picked up there in response. We've seen Prothean run the set a couple of times to great success. And the Olaf, who might have gone a little bit under the radar potentially there for Sailor Scouts, because Luckman has been the one. I would say very few of these games have been a hard carry from one or two people. When Luckman, and this was when he, was Luckman at the time, took in that Olaf, there was nothing the opposing team could do. I'm not sure if it was, I don't think it was going into Sailor Scouts, I'd have to double check, but absolutely nothing to be done. And Goldflower is going to be picking up the Echo here.
No, but I don't. Echo. It's an interesting pick, especially because they've had their Hecarim banned out. The Graves has been banned out. The Jarvan, the Kayn, like all of the things that we've seen Goldflower play, other than like Vi. I think the highly mobile Echo is actually going to serve them extremely well, considering that Limit Testers doesn't necessarily have a highly mobile champion themselves. And so I think this will be a boon to the Sailor Scouts to have that Echo, especially in the hands of Goldflower, who exercises incredible judgment. I do have to point out that Rioklu on that Caitlyn is extremely concerning. Ashe on that Lilac Soul is extremely concerning, and watching their two supports try to keep them both alive as they duke it out will be an absolute joy. I am a little concerned about the mid matchup for Pan, just because of the prowess that Dopamini has displayed, but you know that Ari is Dopamini's second pick, more likely than not, so maybe Pan can make something happen there. I think that mid lane just really needs to be safe and keep it together, but more than anything, Sailor Scouts has to learn from the last game, and they have to keep their warding very sharp on the up and up, especially, like you said before, hard carries are not necessarily a huge part of this game. We don't see a lot of games that end up on the back of one player. Like Solaris Revenge is one of those. Luckman on an Olaf is also one of those. So those are the ones you kind of want to ban out. And Dopamini as well has also managed to carry certain games. Rioklu, oh man, okay, Limit Testers. I got lost in the Limit Testers carrying doctrine there. It's a little concerning. Everybody is going to be on their top game. I'm really excited, like I said, to see Goldflower on this extremely mobile Echo, and I want to see some very stylish plays from Goldflower, who in the past has shown some very excellent skill-based plays to everybody's chagrin. So watching Prothean play a champion that Dang so loves, and then watching Dang play a champion that Prothean so loves feels very like rivalry pettyish, and I'm very excited to see that lane as well, because you and I both we think of Prothean as the Volibear player, as the Mordekaiser player. We think of Dang as the Wukong player, as the Set player. So what a fun, different dynamic here as well. What team comp do you like more, Jolly?
Okay. That's
ready.
That is a bit tough. The thing that really sways me, like heavily sways me in one direction, is the Olaf for Luck Manly there. I think that's going to be a big struggle for Sailor Scouts, because the all-in with an Olaf, being able to aggress quickly, being able to soak up a lot of damage and deal a lot of damage and twist aggro around for the enemy team, I think is going to be very tough for Sailor Scouts. And there's more survivability on the side of Limit Testers as well, which makes me a little bit concerned there for Sailor Scouts if they don't get a little bit of early pressure here. I love the Leon in the bottom side. Prothean now might be jumped on here. There's 4 members. He's going to throw down a ward in that push. The hook is going to come out to follow the machete there, and the flash away from Prothean. That's going to be forced out. A little bit of damage and retaliation, so Pistachio might just have to recall, but not much lost. Nothing lost from Limit Testers. And Sailor Scouts now down a flash on the top side.
Nothing lost, nothing gained, really. Well, okay, flash lost, nothing else gained. It's definitely not, you know what, so much of these games, now I'm starting to get superstitious, you know what I mean? Like, the team that is the most aggressive at the beginning of the game, are they the ones that win? I mean, Solaris Revenge is a testament to that. The more aggressive, the better, and the more aggressive at the beginning of the game seems to be the winner. I'm looking for the duck in the river. Do you remember that silly little urban legend where you're like, if you see the duck, you get to win the game? Like, it almost feels like that. If you're aggressive at the beginning of this tournament, you'll win the game. And I just, listen, I'm giving all of my good vibes to Sailor Scouts, regardless of whether or not they actually win this game. It is a triumph that they got here, and we are so proud. So I'm hoping for a good, long game, but Limit Testers, they sure did pack a punch in that last one. It's really hard not to be worried about Sailor Scouts, especially considering Limit Testers does have that Olaf. And like you said, I keep looking at it. I keep feeling very, very scared for them. But I think that we'll still see some really good fireworks here. Dang, already getting the up and up on Prothean as well. Our little lightning boy is slapping away there at that farm. Not a lot of warding either happening, but I mean, it's early. We'll have to see what happens. I really think that, like you said, the key here is keeping track of Luckman. And making sure that that doesn't scale out of control so quickly, because I remember so many nasty fights where Luckman just absolutely just ran over people, 2v1, 3v1, really rough games to watch with him on that Olaf.
They are very rough. When it gets to that point, Prothean is being dove on pretty hard here from Dang. The disengage will be a requirement there. Dang definitely can't take any tower aggro here, and I think Prothean is trying to buy a little bit of time for Goldflower to make his way up. Dang is going to use the flash in and pick up first blood, but walk directly into Goldflower. So a good grab on first blood against Prothean, but instantly losing your life as a response doesn't feel amazing. Still, Limit Testers coming out ahead on that one, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you have to, it's two players lending their resources to that gank. And as a result, Luckman is eking out a CS lead, which is lending to the gold disparity already here early in the game. So if only Prothean was able to hold his own there, Goldflower would be in a better position. But again, these are small indicators of a larger game. We can't make too many assumptions, but Limit Testers, as a general rule, are incredible farmers, and they do a really good job of focusing on gathering resources as much as they can in between ganks, in between objectives. They just make sure that they have things on lockdown, including this crab here, just for vision, just to be sure that they actually have cryo in that area. But Dopamine landing a charm on Goldflower, and Luckman trying to just pop in to see if he can make a difference, but not a lot to be had there, just mostly for intimidation and pressure's sake, keeping those lanes safe and good. It looks like Goldflower's kind of making his way down here, but they are aware of it, Limit Testers, lending some serious pings as well. But Goldflower is not looking to keep up with Luckman and farm. Goldflower is looking for some very early ganks, and I think that that's a pretty solid strat here. Pistachio making a really solid flash.
No way! Ryoglu picking up the kill. Goldflower going in just a little too hard and kind of hesitating there to actually get the last hit on Pistachio. That little second of hesitation, I mean, 10th of a second of hesitation was enough to, I think he could have, not survived, but probably could have taken down Pistachio with him and did not manage to do that. Prothean is going to find quite a bit of damage here onto Dang. And this is an interesting back and forth, actually, between the two of these guys. So you got the call down from the Storm here for Dang, but the Haymaker in response. I like this matchup, actually, between the two. It can kind of go either way, but there is a lot of opportunity for interruptions on things, or just displacing yourself behind, for like the Haymaker, for instance, using the Q to get yourself behind. And a lot of winning this lane for either player is to watch the minions and basically keep minions in between yourself and the enemy, and just try to ride this one out while still being as alpha as possible. Just deciding when the right opportunity to go in is very important in this matchup for both of these guys. In particular, the set into the Volibear, at least early on, he will find his advantage, though, when those Haymakers are half health and folks.
Yeah, lots of positioning stuff needs to happen here, and Dang needs to absolutely keep track of Prothean, because their specialty. Oh, it looks like Dang is actually going hard enough paint for Prothean. Yep,
the Stormbringer is going to, exceed the distance of a flash there, unfortunately for Prothean. So Dang is going to find a second kill. Really, the second, I mean, the 1v1, both in favor of Dang 100%. First one just went to Goldflower because of the interruption there.
Yeah.
There we go, and Dang has decided, all right, I can go against Goldflower as well. Goldflower still has not yet hit 6 here, keep that in mind.
Oof. Yeah, it's really rough just trying to kind of push that wave back just a little bit so that Prothean can have a little bit of room to make it back there without Dang just absolutely taking every plate he possibly can. Super rough start for everybody, especially with Limit Testers grabbing that Cloud Drake as well. Luckman just making sure that, I mean, he knows the Goldflower is up there. It is a absolutely free dragon for the Limit Testers on that side. A little bit of a rough start on the Sailor Scouts end, but like I said, regardless of how this game turns out, it is a triumph that they made it here in the first place. Luckman thinking about it, but absolutely not. Just making a recall here. Goldflower heading down. Oh, Pan is also pivoting to make a run down there. Oh, but it's just, is it just a ward? Because it seems like they are definitely pushed out there in bot lane, and things are kind of just sniffing it out, and especially with Pan pushing that lane in as hard as possible against Dopamine. Surprised a little bit on the passivity of Dopamine, but I don't think that their bot lane is in any serious harm. They do have lots of good wards, but Dopamine is sniffing down there towards the bot side. Dang, meanwhile, here on Prothean, just menacing Prothean with his previously beloved champion. An unfortunate series of events for Prothean to be staring down one of his favorite, one of our favorites to see on Prothean, and also being 0-2-0. Pretty rough there as well. Dopamine.
I thought, was it the, did Prothean counterpick? I'm not sure if it was done in pro draft. We occasionally do pro draft depending on what the teams would prefer. But if this was drafted in the game, and you know, because sometimes after pro draft it's adjusted the timing on it. So from what I remember, I think Dang picked the Volibear and then Prothean picked the Set as a response to that. I might be mistaken there, but like I said, Set usually, I mean, I haven't seen this much trouble had, but I've also seen a little bit more aggression from the Set early on. There we go. There's some damage being dealt back, but Dang is just I mean, a considerable amount ahead at this point. Having the Kindle Gem, so one at least half fully finished item there helps with that. And now it looks like Luckman Lee might be making the way up top. Dang, taking a few hits there. The Stormbringer going to come down, and the Showstopper actually being used in the middle of the Stormbringer, not taking the Pantheon with Prothean. Prothean is going to get hit by Luckman Lee's machete, though. Picking it up provides a reset, and Luckman Lee hits the second one to get that kill. Dang was pushed pretty far forward. No mana as well. Keep that in mind. A lot of damage coming from Goldflower. The stun to follow it up. The ultimate from Goldflower. The flash over just to pick up the kill there on Volibear. The ultimate burn there from Luckman Lee in response to that. A 1-for-1 in that trade.
That's not what you want to see. Not a great trade regardless, because you don't want that kill. A kill on Luckman is proportionate to 3 kills on any other person with that Olaf. So really heartbreaking to see that go to Luckman for Sailor Scouts. But Goldflower has been a big presence on this map, so even with the 2 deaths there, still have 45 farm. They're not in a necessarily bad position. They're just starting to lose objectives as a result. We've seen this before. Retaliation is very swift, and it is really rough. But they do have vision on that Rift Herald, but there's not a lot of recourse, especially with Dang coming up there as well. It's just not a good investment for them to challenge, and a solid idea not to, just for Prothean to sit up there, farm. Make sure you get a ward up there, or at least back off when you know that they're getting done with the Rift Herald. I would really hate for anything to happen to Prothean in that lane, knowing darn well that he's aware of what's happening. And actually pushing that lane forward and then going for the Krugs as well is a good self-preservation technique, but Dopamine and Pan having a bit of a rough time. Pistachio coming down from that bot lane where they have almost total control, and Oriana using that ult on Goldflower, but Goldflower using his ult in response to Dopamine's charm. Oh, and Lilac Soul getting the kill on Pistachio, who's just a little too far extended and got pinched as the bot lane came up in response. But you have Ryoklu down there, plugging away, getting that farm. And now Ryoklu and Lilac Soul are both evenly matched with Ryoklu, evenly matched in kills with Ryoklu, getting ahead in farm. So, I mean, not necessarily a terrible bet on their part, with Pistachio trying to help out mid lane and not quite getting what they needed to. As a result, I'm relatively certain that Sailor Scouts will be grabbing this dragon freely. But do see Luckman heading over there, and it's not that far down, so I guess freely is not necessarily the word to give there, with Luckman coming through, hoping that Pistachio is there to back him up with Ryoklu with some newfound farm as well. You do have Dang teleporting in as well, just to make some, oh, nope, sorry, you have Prothean, teleporting down there as well, just to kind of make a difference and defensively try and still get this dragon. And they do manage to close the deal, but at what cost? Considering the situation here, Luckman absolutely aggressively going for these kills and trying to get a pick on Prothean, but the Sailor Scouts making some solid plays at, oh no, oh, Prothean gets tagged by the charm by Pistachio. Pistachio is doing everything they can to try to secure any kill. Lexel tries to retaliate, protect Prothean, but still manages to fall to Luckman. Again, the worst possible place for a kill to go for Sailor Scouts. If you have to give one up, give it up to Pistachio. Still not a great place for it to go, but you don't want it on Luckman. That's such a bad situation to be in as he gets fed, because he's just going to begin to carry.
Now, Goldflower is going to be the next target as Dang just chases him down. There's an acknowledgement of no kill going to be had, and a lot of time wasted if that is chased out. Already a really big gold disparity as well. 6K now at 13 minutes is quite massive. The Ragnarok is going to come out here as Goldflower is chased down, but Pan has been spotted. Lilac Soul is right there, so Luck Manly is going to instead back off of that one, grab the lantern, and make it out all right.
These trades are really rough and they're not going in Sailor Scout's favor. They're making some very small mistakes that are now snowballing out of their control. Yeah, Dopamine landing that on Pan. It makes you sweat a little bit, doesn't, especially in this lane, where you know that Dopamine is starting to scale, especially with that farm if you take a look there as well. Pan definitely is an incredible mid player, but standing up to Dopamine's constant pressure, constant pushing, you see that they're just under their turret trying to find some way to retaliate, and not a lot of recourse considering that Dopamine is just an incredible farmer, really good at putting the pressure on, and now has a roaming jungler that can 2v1. So it's hard not to be extremely cautious here as well, and not really feed Dopamine because their whole team is already relatively dead.
Just look at the farm across the board. Oh, there's the shockwave. Dopamine is going to use the Spirit Rush to dash forward and get out of there. Goldflower popping the ultimate as well to recall here. Ryoklu is on the backside. The Fox, the Showstopper, and the Solar Flare all come out. Ryoklu is down, but for 3 ultimates, Dopamine's still trying to do some damage here as Luck Manly takes a bit of aggro on the front side. Sailor Scouts finding out a good kill and also getting the flash there, but Goldflower did go down in response. So a 1-for-1. Luck Manly wants to continue this fight as Necky Lime is a little pushed away from the rest of the team. Lots of damage coming out, as well as the unstoppability from Ragnarok. A flash is going to follow that up, and Lilac Soul will be the second to go down in a double kill. Meanwhile, on the backside, Dang goes past the tower and a half and brings the storm down on the backside there. Unfortunate turn of events for Sailor Scouts as Pan is the third to fall in what turned out to, at the end, I mean, that was a long fight, but it ended up being a 3-for-1.
Yeah, on behalf of the Limit Testers, you love to see that Space Jam Michael Jordan Dang out of nowhere, just laying the hurt on Pan and making it so punishing. And this is a little bit of an overextension here, especially with Luckman with 6-0 and 0 and a 700 gold bounty. I know it's really tempting, but if you overextend, he will take advantage of that and just wipe you out. Necky Lime here trying to get some deep wards in and maybe potentially preserve their turret, but it's probably not going to happen. Necky Lime is definitely trying to protect their team the best that they can. Ryoklu coming up the river here might actually get caught out, backs into Tribush, and now you have Dang just farming Krugs and Pan there, who may or may not be aware of what exactly is developing. Has some backup by Prothean though, and Dang just manages to sneak away into the night without really being detected. So you do have Dopamine and Goldflower with Necky Lime coming up there just to protect. It did look like Dopamine was looking to get a kill on Goldflower, but is not going to be able to with Leona protecting. Some good roaming by Dang and not overcommitting to any potential lane. Just kind of making sure that they're making their way around the map, rotating with the rest of their team. and keeping it really nice and even without, like I said, overcommitting to anything. No serious egregious errors on the part of limit testers. They are being surprisingly conservative and very targeted. Something that a team this far ahead in terms of like skill and wins that's very confident. I think that it's actually really humble of them not to, like mess around, make any of those really stylish plays that we have sometimes seen from other teams. Not as fun to watch, to be sure, but it certainly shows that this team is really disciplined, mature, and is looking to win. I think they want it just as much as anybody else, but I do think that there are some very serious adults.
Yeah,
on the
this
limit
is.
testers
I
team.
mean, the gold. So 17 minutes, like 10-4. We saw even. I think it might have been Your Nightmares and Sailor Scouts, or one of the games previously tonight, where the kills were definitely. I mean, at least this big of a difference here. One team only being behind by a little bit. Yeah, by a little bit, and consistently staying that way through to like 25, closer to the 25-minute mark in the game here. This gold disparity, almost 10K though, at 17 and a half minutes, almost 18 minutes, is really tough to deal with because you're at the point of only having, sometimes we can see on the Oriana, one finished item, just a Luden's Echo, basic boots, and that Doran's ring from early on. And then you're going up, into, I guess maybe the Arya, the mid lane wasn't the best example, but like, an item and a half, more than an item and a half, almost basically the equivalent of 2 items finished on the Volibear, and just a Bilgewater Cutlass and Tabby Boots there for the set. So like, it is really rough. Later on, the gold disparity grows, but you can still catch people out. You're getting close to full builds across the board. This is tough because you're down in levels as well.
Yeah,
it's very difficult.
It is, and Sailor Scouts showed with Your Nightmares that even though they could be behind on kills, they were still getting those and farming those objectives aggressively and staying up in gold. So even though they didn't have as many kills, they definitely kept up in terms of gold, and they are not executing that same strategy here with Limit Testers. Limit Testers is just so punishing the way that they lock them out of objectives, and they have no recourse at all, and it does seem that Goldflower is a little bit flustered and is not able to put pressure on different parts of the map to force limit testers away from their singular goals. They're just trying so hard to keep this snowball from crushing them as it rolls down the hill. Right now, it definitely is. These are all defensive measures, and we've talked about this before. But they've lost control of the map. They no longer are making plays. They're no longer, and you can see Prothean here putting pressure on another side of the map to try to retain control, but it's not enough. That's not a concern to limit testers right now. Whereas Pan is just getting absolutely turret dived. Luckman there. Lilac Soul tries to fire off that crystalline arrow to save Neki Line, but to no avail at all. Luckman and Dang have managed to turret dive 2 of the members of Sailor Scouts, Pan and Neki Lime, and they are going to likely take this mid turret as well with Goldflower there, Lilac Soul. Prothean is in the top lane trying to put some alternate pressure on, and they can choose when to go to top lane. That's not a concern of theirs. They have 4 turrets and Sailor Scouts have 0. So Prothean doesn't get to set the rules in this game right now.
And Prothean definitely doesn't get to set the rules on the opposite side of the jungle. That's what Dang is thinking, because that's a scary place to be. Lucky for Prothean, Dang is very, very good at knowing when to break off. We've seen it so many times before of, yes, I can get this kill. I will waste 25 seconds, and I might end up going down if the rest of your team gets color in their screen soon enough. So it is just you're behind multiple levels as Sailor Scouts right now at this point. Rift Herald coming out. Shelly in the mid lane here, going to take a long trek down, and I don't know if she's even going to make it, to be honest. You have to let her go eventually. Being behind this far,
let her go.
You have to. There's good vision still. Sailor Scouts are doing a really good job of trying to keep eyes on things. They're not making bad plays, but it's just, I called the Olaf. I don't want to be that guy. I called the Olaf. I said how scary that makes me. And on Luckman, of all people, is just now Dang obliterating 2 members there of Sailor Scouts on the top side. Still alive. Pan is going to get the kill. The Solar Flare coming down through the box to follow it up, and Neki Lime is 1 auto attack away. The E is going to, the Flay. Wow. The Flay is going to do it. And while Pistachio wanders away, Rio Glue decides to join in on the fight and pick up kill or 2 here. Sailor Scouts are getting to the point, too, where the cooldown timers, so the timers on respawn are very high. Goldflower is going to get exhausted while trying to go in on Pistachio. Has to use the ultimate to recall out of the fight. Pistachio is still incredibly low, but not ready to die anytime soon, especially not when Left Manly decides to join in on the fight. Goldflower luckily has the movement and the ability to escape from that fight, but not for long. These guys can absolutely power dive. We've seen 1 to 2 members power dive, so they need to play it safe. And it looks like Prothean is not going to be at the start of that decision.
Yeah, it doesn't look like backing off and giving up this top turret is really a priority for the Sailor Scouts. They can try, they absolutely can, and they do have a little bit of damage with Lilac Soul, but how long until Goldflower gets hit with an axe to the face? Oh, it looks like not very soon at all. Luckman is looking to rotate a little bit further down with Pan, bringing up the mid there.
They're wasting
they can
their time. So they're going in, getting a kill or two. They recognize that Sailor Scouts aren't as quick to react to these fights as the Limit Testers have been. So they start the engage with 1, at most 2 members under the Sailor Scouts tower to where they feel kind of comfortable, and the rest of the team tries to follow it up. And then at that time, the remainder of the team that hasn't gone down and was somewhere on the map moves up while Limit Testers are like, all right, we got what we came here for. It was maybe a kill, if that, maybe a tower, or just a little bit of pressure. But now the rest of the team is either recalling because they took so much damage, or just now making their way up because they think we might stay. So it's like it's the least amount of wasted time. The time management that these guys are showing currently is insane to me, and it's across all 5 players.
Yeah, absolutely. They are rotating like champions, and Sailor Scouts is not necessarily savvy enough to see that.
Stormbringer on the back, and the box ends up coming out, and the Ragnarok in response here. Neki Lime does go down, as does Pistachio, and Ace in the hole to pick up a double kill there for Ryoflu. Gang Meow picking up Pan on the top side. Prothean tries so hard to just get this 1 tower. Just this 1 tower is all Prothean wants for his team. In the meantime, the Limit Testers are, 4 members of the Limit Testers are breaking into the base. And it's, you know, did you get the tower? Oh my, okay, you got the tower. Prothean got the tower. But at what cost there? I mean, I know that Prothean cannot hold off 4 members.
True.
But that didn't really get Sailor Scouts much of anything at all.
Yeah, that question ping at Prothean from their own team speaks volumes about the helplessness of this situation. Yeah, you're just gonna let us die? I don't think that Prothean's presence there would have made any difference. I think that Prothean just likely would have ended up dying in that same situation, especially considering the sheer power of Luckman. So, I mean, you know, if you can't win in a team fight, use your team as bait and put your resources elsewhere. What else can you do in order to recover when you have 6 turrets on Limit Testers and 0, but now 1 for Sailor Scouts? I mean, you're making
Stand there
small...
and look manly, and you're set.
Yeah. Just
nobody can see you in the top lane with minions.
How are you supposed to be beautiful if you're alone in top lane?
Exactly. And then while all this is going on, Limit Testers are decently damaging this Baron, deciding to just use it as an engagement here for the Stormbringer on the backside. The Solar Flare does hit Dang and requires the removal. Neki Lime gets a really solid Zenith Blade as well. And, you know, while that disconnect occurred for 2 members of Limit Testers, Luck Manly is going to pick up the Baron for 4 members here of the Limit Testers. 1 is down. Dopamini does not receive this Baron buff, unfortunately, for the Limit Testers. But Sailor Scouts have only a little bit of health left at the moment, and now have to go back to base and defend the tower. First tower that is going down very, very quickly. And this is going to be a lot of pressure from Limit Testers right now.
Yeah, and you have Dang there turning that little tower off for a minute to be able to tank it. They tried, they really did, they endeavored, but they don't want to take any chances. I respect that Limit Testers could have had that turret if they really wanted, but the cost would have been relatively high, and you would have lost that Baron buff, or at least a couple of you would have.
Oh no!
The Goldflower getting
still out there. I thought Goldflower went back ages ago.
Yeah,
that is not a good place to be. That is really rough. You have to expect that Limit Testers are going to return to their side. I appreciate the attempt to throw maybe some vision down or something like that, but that was definitely a bit of a push. Goldflower now has to sit at a gray screen for 22 more seconds.
I don't want to talk about it.
Limit Testers aren't pushing pushing the limits as much as they could be, to be honest here. I mean, they've broken into base. They are 15k up. Yeah, it's 26 minutes in the game, and their minions almost took down that first Nexus tower because of how much pressure they've had in every single lane. I kind of feel like they could have ended it already.
Absolutely, but you know, it seems as though Limit Testers really wants to make sure that they're doing this safely and appropriately. Like I said, Limit Testers are displaying a level of maturity and safety in some of these games, not to the point of being a detriment. You know how not being aggressive enough genuinely loses a lot of people, especially newer players, games. But not to their detriment. They're just really they don't want to lose. They see that prize, their eyes on the prize there. They see that prize money. They just want to make sure that when they do win, Limit Testers does make sure they do it all the way. They don't really take any risks. A lot of their games are very well controlled, and they make sure that it's 100%, almost to the point of BMing.
This one feels like
like
torture.
Yeah.
I feel, you know, again, 15k plus, more than 15k
7 towers
at 27 minutes, 7-1. Like, even if you get aced, and you would at least get a tower, even if they engage. Like, you at least get a tower. And now they're just gonna rip into the backline. Dang with the Stormbringer there. Goldflower is trying to hit out Dopamini, and the jump in does help. The box from Pistachio helps out Limit Testers in saving their lives, sending Sailor Scouts back to base, trying to get a heal. A nice charm there on a Prothean as well, as the Ignite is going to give Dopamini another kill. Ace in the hole just to deal some damage here to Pam because it's the end of the game. Why not? A missed hook by the Thresh, but a Flay to follow it up is going to give Pam one last kill before the end of the game, but go down in the process. And that was, in fact, a very hard-fought fight. That was clearly not a 19.5-minute game like we saw earlier. That was much closer to, I mean, I think we were closing in on like 29 minutes about. So a stellar performance. Limit Testers getting everything they wanted. And it's not possible to ban these guys out. Again, we were talking about that before the game started, how the bans are becoming more important, but you got to spread them. As soon as the Olaf was picked, I was like, ooh, you know what? I think Sailor Scouts might have overlooked something. And we didn't think about it. We didn't call it.
No.
I was thinking about the Olaf in a previous game, but at that moment, I was not like, oh, Olaf is the choice here. But Luck Manley running a perfect game, not dying a single time throughout the entirety of that one. And getting a good, I don't know what the final KD was for it, but getting a really at least 10 kills and you know, close to that in assists. So a spectacular performance from all of Limit Testers and from Sailor Scouts as well. Breaking that barrier, getting strictly into third place now with the rankings there. So really hard fought, but man, Luck Manley, that is a rough lane. That is a really rough lane. And Pistachio doesn't need a caster.
No,
You know that with the Thresh now.
Yeah, absolutely not. That Booty Makudi landing some of those clutched, really demoralizing hooks there is just like, those were that was like the clutch where it was like, I'm gonna open this pit up, and it was like, oh no, like you watch those land and it really hurts your soul for Sailor Scouts to watch that stuff happen, especially when you can kind of see it coming. Pistachio setting up those solid hooks, and then it forced Sailor Scouts to engage in ways that we hadn't seen them. That was not the Sailor Scouts that we saw in that game against Your Nightmares. That was the opposite of it. They got really flustered. Things started to go downhill really fast. And I believe that they are capable of a better performance, if not a winning performance. It's just going to take some time. And I think the Limit Testers have largely flown under the radar. Like, we've hyped up Your Nightmares pretty hard. And I feel like maybe we should start making fan pages for Limit Testers so that people take it a little more seriously.
Well, I mean, I feel like Pistachio might have been one of the first, Whittle McGriddle, like, you know, and I feel like here's the thing, is because they've been so good, because yes, Your Nightmares was in first place strictly for a little while, but it didn't take long at all for Limit Testers to knock them down, and then there was kind of a little bit of a back and forth. But recently, it has absolutely, the last several weeks, Limit Testers is beating everyone. And rarely do they get to the finals and lose, and rarely do they not get to the finals. So we've seen so much of them now at this point that it feels wrong to hype them more than we already do, because they speak for themselves. Their performances, like when we talk about a Volibear, we're talking about either Prothean, because that was an early one, but Dang picked it up that same day. And I mean, performed on par for sure, and since then has been performing incredibly. And then Luck Manly, like this combination of the two, Dopamini in the mid, all of them. We talk about like we just have to say one or two things, and that's it because you just watch them and know they are that good. And it's not even as though Sailor Scouts played poorly. That was the thing. Limit Testers got so far ahead so fast, and a lot of it had to do with creep. Like Goldflower on the Echo struggled very hard on creep, and Sailor Scouts still did a good job of maintaining vision. They still did a good job of you could tell the communication was still there. They were still trying to focus on objectives, but were breaking away before they were in too deep, and doing a really good job. And that's why I was saying it feels like Limit Testers, based on how Sailor Scouts are responding, they could have closed out the game, but because Sailor Scouts have been so confident and were doing a really good job in responding to things, they felt like they couldn't. And I don't think they looked at the gold disparity and really saw just how far ahead they were, because
it felt harder than it was.
Because it was a really good reaction from Sailor Scouts. But when you're 15,000 behind at like 25 minutes in a game, no matter how well you play, unless Limit Testers really throw a few, like some really decent kills at you, which they're not going to do, that's the only place you can find your advantage, and Limit Testers did not allow any bit of leeway. So really, really well played by everyone. Nice to see Sailor Scouts here in the finals this week. And, it's the second to last. So it was a really exciting set of matches today across the board, all night long. It's definitely going to be a tea night again, because there were a lot of crazy plays from everyone, and that's what I love seeing the most from these.
There are some underdogs in this game right now that if they win the finals next week can shoot up and secure a position and knock another team out to their own detriment. So there's so much on the line next week for who actually makes it into the finals. If it's Limit Testers or your Nightmares, safe to say that they're going to make it. But if it's Fighting Dreamers, if it is Sailor Scouts, if it is Gay Mercenaries, like if they make it to the finals, they can knock the other out. So I mean, you're looking at a very serious game next week. Like that is the huge
points
pressure.
Reset for the tournament itself.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's not like they're going in,
good.
right? Yes. No matter how far behind third and fourth place might be, and they're not at the moment, but no matter how far behind they might become, they're still going to the tournament. And you're right, it will be a reset, but it doesn't look like that's happening. We at least have official placements for first through fourth instead of two ties to take up those slots. So it's at least exciting for these teams to go in either knowing, all right, I've secured my third place, or I've secured my first place. And then also for the other teams that are like, all right, this next week, so, we saw what they can do now. This next week, we got to pick it up so we can secure our places and make sure that we go to that tournament. $12,500 on the line just for the League of Legends portion, over $30,000 for the entirety of the 3 games, including CSGO as well as Hearthstone. So a lot of really exciting stuff. And we're going to be coming back next week, and these underdogs are going to blow it out of the water. I have a good feeling.
Yeah, I have a really good feeling. There's so much potential there to completely disrupt the entire structure of the bracket. So definitely practice all week. If you have some PTO, take that time off and really scrim with your team. Practice, study, get it done.
It's the best socially distanced hangout. Practicing with your team.
Without a doubt. And like I said, so much potential for upset. We would love to see one of these underdogs, Sailor Scouts, Gay Mercenaries, anybody else in this tournament add a little bit of spice to it. So
you know what they gotta do? They have to order it right now, probably. I'm sure they'll get them in time, is order some zennies. and then they'll have the blue light blocks that are included in those, and they could even virtually try them on the website or on their phone. I did it on my phone, and they can get a little bit of an edge on the game by reducing stress, getting better sleep.
They're not even illegal.
It's right, exactly. It's in fact, it's actually. I recommend having them if your eyes are not at 20/20. It's suggested for sure.
Yeah. Even if they're 20/20, protect your eyeballs from that blue light.
Yeah, I've got plenty of both actually, and I've been wearing way more than I thought of the ones like with my contacts, because I have to wear my contacts for work.
Oh yeah,
but they are spectacular, and I'm stoked for the next couple of weeks. Hopefully these guys bring their A game. It's the last chance before the tournament. for everyone to bring their A game, and I am expecting nothing more than that from the teams that we have seen today and over the course of the last 8 weeks. It's been so much fun. Thank you guys for watching, for coming and playing, for supporting the players. It is absolutely huge for us, for helping us build this story around you by returning every week and allowing us to cast your games. It has been so insanely enjoyable. Thanks to sponsors, of course. They're in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We will be rounding things out with the final standard week next week, so be sure to tune in. It is, from my understanding, 8 o'clock Eastern time, scheduled from about 8 to 11 or 12 there. So keep an eye on that, as we will be heading to the tournament to follow that at the beginning of October. Thank you so much for joining Supergirl Gamer Pro week number 8, series dedicated to women in gaming. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm Jolly. This is Kari. Thanks for hanging with us. Have a good one.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this.
Brief.
Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you?
You're right.
Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle takes. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be Marines.
For a long time, we had to prove ourselves. But we always knew what we were capable of. We knew when the time came, we would be ready for anything. Our numbers keep rising. And so do we.
You can trade all the games, accessories, consoles, and tech you don't use anymore to get cash or store credit at GameStop. Check out the Trade Center on the GameStop app, visit GameStop.com/trade, or talk to a guest advisor at your local GameStop store to see how much your trades are worth.